Is this it?
This is it!
We've been holding power you make for 30 years. But here's the real question. How much torque are you making? Because every single ACT clutch is rated by the torque produced at the crank. That's all your clutch cares about. Your power, your performance, your success. Unrivaled precision, power, and durability. Visit advancedclutch.com today. 30 years of precision engineering and performance excellence. Because every revolution starts at the crank.
Check engine light on? There's an O'Reilly Auto Parts. Turn left, Tyler. Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you don't want to do the repair yourself, we can recommend a shop for you. Okay, Tyler, let's go fix your car.
Auto Parts.
These are my race treads for when the road ends.
These are my race treads for shredding the slopes.
These are my race treads for setting the hook.
Racetreads.com. Tires for every adventure.
Hello and welcome. This is round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. That's right, Type S Scorch. Can you smell it? Come on now, make some noise, Orlando! Woo!
Oh, and Dan Burkecki might be handing Shanahan the win, getting lost in the smoke.
What just happened? Whoa, pizza delivery right there on the door.
How could you not love to see cars ripping around a track and smoking out the whole place?
Let's send it! He's diving in. He's rubbing his door. Woo!
This is some pretty crazy battles, man.
Everybody is just running their tires to the limit. We're going to see an all-Irish finale. The hefty rookie comes out on top. Connor Shanahan is your winner.
Thank you so much. We did it.
Wow. Welcome out as swine is fine. Thicker is quicker. And guess what? We had some great smoked meats courtesy of my guest host, and we'll get into that a little bit as Orlando is ready to be scorched. That's right. As you can see, downtown Orlando, we have a packed house here today. We saw some rain. The parking lot definitely a little bit muddy. Looks homage to a little bit of Woodstock, a little bit of Lollapalooza. But this is Formula Drift, round 3 of 8 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Within that, we have Prospect, but this is all killer, no filler. This is all pro here at Formula Drift. We branded this Scorch. Literally, the sun, the track, the skin. Remember, reapply that sunscreen. And the forecast is saying we should be kind of amiss the rain. Yeah, knock on all the wood, cross your fingers, cross your toes. And now we are going to cook. Let them cook, and the chefs are the pilots. 32. Last night we had our seating bracket. Coming out on top was the Irishman, Mr. Jack Shanahan. He is one to place your bets on, place your money on, literally and figuratively, as we do have betting. So I'm Jared DeEnda. Been doing this for now 21 plus years, 22 years. Join us here for our second season in its entirety. Mr. Jacob Gettins, the blue beanie, the teal toque, the smoked meat connoisseur. And Jacob, As far as seating brackets yesterday, that format, we had a little bit of a slow drip. We got there. I think we landed where we needed to be. We saw some great runs from people like TLO. We saw some kind of lackluster runs, but I'm not going to name names, but refinement. I think learning what we did last night, this track is very unassuming. It's got bookend outside zones, and then in the middle of it, in the power alley, 2 inside clips. What are your expectations knowing and seeing yesterday coming into today?
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers realized last night that this track is taking a toll already. We're 3 rounds in, so we start to see some mechanicals happen. This is not an easy track on a car. You're on the rev limiter pretty much the entire run. It's difficult. You're changing, coming off the bank. It's just hard on cars, and I think a lot of drivers are realizing that. Nut and bolt and things. I've seen a few things changed out in the pits that they didn't have to do. They just tried to get ahead of it. So mechanical, keeping that car together, that is going to be key to get through the event today.
Attrition on the equipment, as well as attrition on the tires. This car is very porous. As we take a look at the championship, James Dean, Frederick Osbo, those are 2 people, unit of measure. We pulled up, the judges and I yesterday, bang, James Dean on it. I mean, it looks like it's on rails, sideways rails at that. Ryan Turk, I've seen him drive really great, and then I show up and just, you said he's been good up until the point and just has these, it's feast or famine. Adam LZ, he knows his track very well. Look at these names: Forsberg, Stuckey, Hughes, Gucci, Hobson. Overall, I really like the format. What's your take? Because previous, you won the event, you get 100 points. Now it's you win your battle, you get points. The further you go, the more points you get. I like the format. It just rewards overall wins of each battle, and you have to pull to the line. Because previously, pull the line. No, you have to compete. You have to win. Yeah,
I think it makes for a lot of interesting things. It really means that it's a full season commitment, but in some ways too, it means that if you have one round where it doesn't go great, you can make it up with the win a little bit later on. So it's going to change up a lot of the ways that we think about things. It's going to change up how drivers kind of go into each competition, knowing like, okay, I can get through these 2 battles, I can win these points. Maybe I'll try something risky because I'm kind of only losing the 10 points as opposed to feeling like I'm losing the entire event. So I think some strategy will change, and we'll just see a couple of different ways to attack every single weekend.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Here we are at round 3 of 8 after this, and just less than a month, we're going to be at E-Town, the first ever American purpose-built drift coliseum. We go on, to Seattle, Utah. We end now the new round since Irwindale is leveled. No longer is the House of Drift around. 21 years, we celebrated that, but now we go to the Shoreline Showdown. What is Shoreline? Well, it's literally on the shoreline of Long Beach, just in the vicinity of where we have round 1, but it's an all-new course. So people are like, oh, you're going back? Yes, but not.
No. Yeah.
It's a new track. That is round 1. What a great way to start the season. Frederick Osbo, James Dean. We saw James Dean get the win last year in such a dramatic fashion. From the rain to the fire, he wins round 1 last year. Then fast forward to Atlanta. Happy Mother's Day weekend there. What a dynamic event there. We had Pro Spec, we had Pro. James Dean came out on, James Dean came out on top after more rain, and what a testimonial to their driving prowess. Driving in the wet, the conditions did not affect, the placement. Didn't go one more time, went 2 one more times, and eventually a 3rd battle to decide who won, and it was James that came out on top, hence why they are currently tied for our bracket. So speaking of Frederick Osbo, currently tied for points, Jacob Gens, I'm Jared Deanda. Let's throw down Lorette Nickel. Lorette, how we doing?
Oh my gosh, we are so good under this hot, oppressive heat, but we're doing great. Freddie is doing great coming off of that 2nd place off of Atlanta. So you come to a completely different track. Do you have to change your mindset coming into Orlando?
Very much so, very much so. The tracks are 2 polar opposites. Road Atlanta is that winding road course, which I love. This track, we've had great luck here, we've had bad luck here. It looks easy, but it's far from easy. So to really figure this track out, I think you gotta wire your brain into understanding how to get from the first bank to the 2nd corner, because it all happens in that power alley.
Right, yeah, and so it seems to be so challenging, right? Because not only are you transitioning off the bank, but you're smoke blind, you're dealing with that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So you're, like you said, you're coming from the bank, then you're passing over that bump down into the infield. Then you have the inner clip. You don't want to take that down. There's a bunch of different lines and a bunch of different ways to take that as a lead car. And that always leaves the door open to mess up for the chase car. So I think a spotter is very important here. You got to position yourself in a way where you're out of that smoke line while still not being too far offline. So getting that just right is what it's going to take here.
And the fans sitting in the audience, we know how hot it is and how humid it is. Do you have a temperature gauge in the car?
I don't, only my forehead, and I guess that it does get very hot. And a lot of drivers use the cool shirt with the cold water running through them. I don't like to use that because it feels weird. But what I do is I use moving air. I have my Parker pumper in the helmet, which blows air into the helmet, which helps a lot. And the crew guys, they'll put wet towels and stuff over my neck. But enduring the heat here is a big part of it all.
Sounds oppressive. But we're going to see Freddie on the right side of the bracket coming up, top 32. Can't wait. Thanks.
I got my forehead.
Yeah.
Good indicator. Just how do you feel? And I know Lorette hates that saying, like, how do you feel? It's just such a generic, big, overarching. How do you feel?
Hot.
But literally, yeah, hot.
Just hot.
Coming into this event, you can see just umbrellas are out. The wind is here, so that's good. It clears out the smoke, and it does keep temperatures cool.
Yeah.
But overall, the big indicator here is who is hot. Speaking of hot, winner probability. I'm telling you, if you're watching this, we were just talking about this off camera, Jacob, you and I have people texting me like, hey, great idea. I'm watching it. Why not make a small little donation or maybe win? The odds are there.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some stands out to you? I mean, the Shanahan boys, I think that's a big one. You know them intimately. You know the dad. You know Jack. You've seen. You've held Connor as a baby. I'm joking.
No.
You're about the same age as him. But overall, Jack Shanahan's a good bet because people are like, who is this guy? He's a rookie, but he's not.
He's not. No, he's got a lot of experience. And yeah, if you start taking a look through these odds, there's some really, really interesting things that you could kind of dive into. I really do think that the Shanahans are there. But yeah, all you got to do is scan that QR code.
Scan it.
Take a look, pick a driver, and see who you think's going to win it. So lots of history here, lots of really good information. You can go back and take a look. I mean, there's a few in here that I'm like, oh, man, I really don't know about that. And, yeah, I mean, if you know the sport, Dylan Hughes, there's a good example. Plus,
he's won here before.
29 plus 2,940. That's not bad. That's not bad.
And it's really simple. If you've never placed bets before, it's really easy. 21 and over. You click on that QR code or go to nxtbets.com. Formula Drift for cash. They have great offers, deposit, bonus cash, all these things. So just scan the code. You can check it out. Go to formuladcom. I think it's a really cool way to literally be invested into the sport just a little bit more. It's really cool, and we've seen it in multiple different sports, and would love to see that from you, the fans. So again, there are some great odds-on bets. This is one. Austin Mata, you got, we've seen some great driving from Austin. We know what James Dean is capable of, and this is how we are kick-starting round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Our judges are here. Reese Marin, blaring the obvious. Look at that, man. Get some sunscreen on, brother. Look at those ham hocks. Look at those weapons of mass. How'd they let you pass security, Reese? Brian Egger is in the building. Robin Ishida eating a cookie. He's oh so sweet. Might get a cavity. He's so sweet. Robbie Bushido, Blade Nishida. We got Ryan Sage in the building, Chris Poole, and our whole team. So thank you for joining us here. We are live from Orlando, round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Jacob, great to see you again. You're well-traveled, coming over from Spain, Drift Masters. It's great to see different variety of drivers, and here we are. I love this. It's great. Yeah. The sport of drifting is alive and well, man, and the diversity is really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a worldwide sport, and it's cool to see the comparison and the juxtaposition between the two series. But I'm here for FD. I'm here for these drivers, and I'm ready, and I'm pumped. Let's get this going.
I love it. Here we go. So this is where it all begins, and it ends with a halftime break, of course, but it ends on the podium. Who's going to come out on top? Again, most recent winner coming to us from Atlanta, James Dean, will lead over Austin. It does Mata, because it's Austin Mata. Here we go, that AutoZone Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD. I'm sure the boss man is watching at home, talking about Vaughn Kitten Jr. Boom, clutch kicks in the ball. That's what I was talking about. Look at that thing, absolutely on rails, like a magnet to that green wall. Into the power alley, inside clip 1, transitioning inside clip 2, bang, right on it. You can see that front tire going into the box. Austin Mata swings wide, and look at James Dean, gets right into the crease, lick the stamp, and send it. Boom, sign, seal, deliver, COD, cash on delivery, cash on James Dean. That's what we're talking about here. Well done by by James Dean out front, and that right there, boom, the bar is set right out of the gate like the Olympics, man.
Yeah, we're already treated to just an absolutely epic lead run. And Austin Mata here, I mean, does a really good job of trying to gain that proximity and then get that parallel angle. James Dean is so fast. Inside clip looks fantastic. And right there, that's the only spot that Mata made that mistake, but it does push him off track. It looks like it's 3 wheels over. That is what is a 0 here this weekend, is 3 wheels off track. We'll get into it a little bit more, but realistically, if it wasn't for that, Mata had this really well, just got lost in the smoke at this point, and you can see him start to wash out. And there we see those wheels come off track. I mean, probably all 4, but good job on Mata getting back in. Almost used the bank as a bit of a ramp to kind of get back into the battle, but unfortunately
Safety
for him.
net.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good safety net.
It is, you know, you talked about it yesterday. There's tracks you can risk with no power steering.
Yeah.
This is not one.
Not one of them.
Not one of them. But Austin Mata will now, he's going to try to force an error of James Dean. Austin, like I said, this is a big ask going against the 4-time champion of James Dean. And look at James, I'm sure his spotter said, hey, Austin made a major mistake in that chase position. Austin needs to put down a heater of a run. James Dean navigates a right-hand drive. We talked about the benefit of that. Jacob, I'll let you elaborate on that. We talked about it with Laurent Nickel even right there.
Yeah.
So unfortunately for Austin, a great lead run by Austin Mata. Look, he gives himself a fist bump, and rightfully so. Austin, an absolute weapon, great attitude. Love him, his team's energy, but he knows who he's going against. Arguably, or unarguably, the best drifter in the world.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Mata, though, really solid lead run here. It's super unfortunate that he made that one mistake in the chase, because this just shows how good Austin Mata has gotten and how good he really is. I mean, he's a veteran of the sport. He's been around for a long time and finally making that jump up to pro, and you can see just why he got that accreditation and deserves that jump into pro, because that was a solid run from Austin Mata. James Dean gave him a little bit of room, gave him a little bit of breath there right off the beginning in that first outside zone, and then ends up, you know, reeling it in. But great competitors there. Austin Mata getting back in the car. You know, look at going up against James Dean. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be just a good, clean battle. So Steely Dean reeling in the gears. That's what he's doing, reeling in the gears. James, the machine Dean, puts it down. James gets the win. Ryan Turk signing some autographs, kissing babies, taking some photos. Ryan Turk, signature smile, always a great attitude. That Rockstar energy drink pilot, him and his other Rockstar teammate, Frederick Osbo. Hopefully he won't need any of that Rain-X, Ryan Turk. And this is how drivers score in 2025, because like we talked about, you win, you get 100 points. That was just kind of out there, but now you gotta win. Don just pulled a line. Elaborate.
Yeah, so for right now, 10 points for every battle you win in top 32. Easiest way to remember, if you win a battle today, you get 10 points.
10,
That's what we're
30,
looking
do
at.
the math.
Yep, so, you know, winner's gonna take the most because they've won the most amount of battles. Pretty easy, and it just makes the math even simpler, and you can start to predict how many battles you need to win the championship, which now allows us to kind of look at things. But yeah, both these drivers coming up here, 1-1. So yeah, going head to head, it'll be super interesting.
Fairly equally matched here. Rome Sharpened here, a little more calculated, was on the same flight with him coming out here. He says, you know, this one series, just a little twitchy. Likes the car, has the power, but as far as the chassis, Trent Beecham, I know earlier today, he wanted to talk to us, how am I doing? You know, kind of wants to get a little health check, right? A wellness check. But right now here, again, fairly equally matched. You can see the angle there, as twitchy as it is. RCP puts it in the right spot, almost goes camo into that green wall, into that power alley. Here comes Trenton Beecham. Good placement of that car. I like that. He backed it off, maybe wasn't too aggressive, giving himself some room, because that chase position is a very hard position to be in. I think that since it's daylight, the smoke screen is not as dense.
Yeah.
When the lights go on, it really magnifies it.
So yeah, really good start here from both drivers. I mean, Rome could have been a little bit deeper in outside zone 1, and then Trenton Beecham here trying to figure out, does he want to go for line, proximity, or angle? And as they come through these inside clips, Beecham makes that decision when we get into the second outside zone. So look at, he's mirroring the line, he's mirroring the angle, doesn't have the proximity, but you have to remember the chase is those 3 elements. So if you're going to do it, pick 2. If you know you're going to be behind, pick 2. So in this case, Beecham goes for angle and for line, because he matched both those, just didn't have the proximity. So when we swap them around, Rome's going to have a decision to make as well. How is he going to chase? You want all 3, but in the case of worst case, which 2 do you pick?
Good, fast, cheap. You can only have 2.
Yeah.
All right, so line, angle, and style. Here we go. So Trent Beecham Beecham out front. And out of the gate, looks like RCP. Good angle from Trenton Beecham out front. I got to say, a little more locked and loaded from Beecham out front, but look at that. You talk about the proximity. RCP, he might be blowing off that front bumper, but he has definitely some aggressiveness. Look at Beecham, comes out of it, comes unwound, but then goes back into it. So quick little correction by Trenton Beecham out front, but this is a good battle. Again, similar cars. You have the E46, you have the new 1 Series. Overall, pretty good.
Yeah, Beecham a little late to initiate there. Might see in another replay if it was past the 3-2-1 lines, which you'll see on the ground. But Beecham just a lot of wavering in this run. Does not look like he's feeling comfortable. And then we see Rome in the chase punching that cone pretty hard, and Beecham just right here, a lot of wavering back and forth. Never able to get the car settled. Never really able to make it comfortable for him. So I don't know if he's fighting.
It looked like a 2-move.
Yeah.
You talked about initiation. Looked like he made an action and kind of hesitated, and then at the second mark, really committed to it. I beg to differ. I think that Trenton, once he got settled on that first outside zone, I thought he was good. Watch RCP. I talked about the twitchiness, and he talked about it again to me, and not in confidence, but elaborated on. Said trying to find the sweet spot with that car. Seemed like he was twitchy in that chase position, but again, on both sides, we have some moments of greatness. But here we go. RCP, Trenton Beecham, boom. RCP gets the advancement here, and again, want to see if we could. Talk to the judges. Reese, anything? Any elaboration there? Is fairly equally matched. I think we're good, but Reese, we're just going to bring you in.
Right.
Welcome to Orlando. We had a great day yesterday, but went with RCP.
Yeah, RCP just had a superior lead run. Both of them had decent proximity, but we did see some errors in the lead, and those were the issues. It's definitely going into a couple of bobbling you saw by Beecham in outside zone 1, and then you can see he took out the inner clips, took out first inner clip, second inner clip. He got way too close on the inside, and I believe there was a tire drop also in outside zone 2. So all of those errors accumulated. The win goes to RCP.
All right, well done, Rome Charpentier. So again, with Rome, he's going to have to go against James Dean. So you got to think, all right, what is the spotter telling him? How is he going to navigate that? And here we have two very aggressive drivers. Matt Field, I would say Field's aggressive. Dan is a little more calculated. He's got this smooth driving technique. This is going to be interesting. I think it's kind of two schools of thought. From the builds, American, JDM. I think Field is definitely more aggressive. Dan a little more calculated. What are your thoughts? What do you expect?
I mean, Dan's really starting to come into his own. This is some of the best driving I've seen from him in practice this weekend.
There we go. Matt Field, a lot of eyeballs on him. He definitely has the making of to be a champion. And there we go. Rat Dan says, here you go. I'll show you what I can do. Like you said, he rose to the occasion. Here goes Matt Field in that power rally. Good placement. Minimal corrections. Those white wheels sticking out like a sore thumb. And Dan absolutely bulldozes into the side of the Corvette, sheds that like a chameleon, sheds that side skirt, sheds the skin, and that was definitely a hard bash there.
Yeah, we saw some hopping.
I mean, it didn't seem that Field was slowing down. We'll take a look and run it back, but at first glance, it didn't seem that momentum lights or even the attitude of the car slowed down to justify punching him in the side.
Yeah, there is a spot on the track where you can decel, and I mean, we're into that zone. I don't think that's it. So the spot that the judges have allocated for them to decel is kind of halfway
momentum.
between momentum change. Let's go with that. Between those two inside clips. So they are expecting them during that transition to make a small momentum adjustment, but it does look like Matt Field's got a DB on that back left wheel.
Very well could have been caused, obviously, but I mean,
yeah.
we'll run it back again. It's,
you never know.
It's kind of, I do the reactionary to the run call, and then we digest it. You elaborate a little bit further on something maybe I didn't see, and again, at first glance, it's it seemed that. So let's watch this, but. Like you said, Dan is driving really well. Field, a lot of eyeballs on him.
Yeah, and we want to jump to the conclusion that, like, oh, Dan made contact, and that's why Matt Field, had a DB. There is also a world where Matt Field DB'd, and that's why Dan made contact. So can't jump to those conclusions quite yet, but everything so far looks really good. And then Dan just really hard charging through here. So depending on the camera angle we can get, we could see if there was a decel, but it's tough to say. What I liked is both drivers tried to stay into it. It's tough though. I mean, in the lead, you feel that you've got to make a lot of corrections to try and keep going after a contact like that. But in most cases, drivers will try and push through and drive through a situation. It just really depends on how much damage and how hard the hit ends up being. So let's see. Nah.
Smoke was consistently coming out of the left side.
Yeah.
And I think a good indicator of that was if it was disrupted. That's no indication, nor is it a criteria, but watch that back left corner. This is obviously, so coming through the power alley, here's inside clip 2. There is the Borla exhaust heat wave lean customs Corvette of Matt Field. Again, consistent. Tire still on.
Great camera
right
shot.
Outside zone 2. This is truth serum, baby.
The green light is still on at the front of Matt Field. So it's indicating he's still accelerating, hasn't decelerated. He was accelerating past the incident as well. He tried to pull kind of through that incident, but yeah, and we see Matt Field to hand out kind of a, hey, it's okay, it's all good, but.
Yeah, and talking to Reese, he's just to my right here. All the judges are just, we got Jacob, myself, Reese, Brian, and Robbie. They're all in agreement that Rad Dan is at fault. So
yeah.
Dan Burkett at fault, a.k.a. Rad Dan, is at fault. So unfortunately, he will be at a deficit. Matt Field will have a 10-minute allotment. They can put on new rear tires because Matt will. Obviously put on left. He'll have a 10-minute allotment, not having to use his competition timeout. So thumbs up there, and we will get him off track. Well done there, OSW course workers. Way to get it done. In the fridge, keeping it cool down there, and Kevin's Corner. We'll get some content from him throughout the weekend.
Do love Kevin's Corner. I mean, it's like Send It and Kevin's Corner, those two for me, battling out for my favorite shows.
Which one, Kevin's, and which one?
And Send It. On your show.
Thank you. I appreciate
no
it. I didn't hear it. I got my producer. So Rad Dan at fault means that Dan was at fault. It's an incomplete on his side. Matt Field, because his line got disrupted, he will have an advantage here. What that degree is TBD, especially after the second run, digest both runs, and then kind of put it in the machine, aka the judges' minds, and they will export a decision. So you can see on the flatbed there's Rad Dan he's already back in the pits. And again, he will have to use that comp timeout. Just too aggressive?
Yeah, just too aggressive. There was no point where he really needed to charge back up. He wasn't that far off of him, but he just wanted to make a statement. When you're driving against a Matt Field and you're driving against, these really top-ranked guys, you have to push hard because they're going to do that to you when they chase. So you need to go into this battle with that mindset of I need to be on his door the entire time, or I'm going to lose this because when he chases me, that's what he's going to do. So
you
it's
don't
kind
want
of
to
like
hand
a
it
preemptive.
over.
No, you can't. And you don't want to leave it in the judge's hands either. Mm-hmm. So you've got to be really definitive, and I really feel like Rad Dan just went a little bit too hard.
All right, lots more action. We come back, we'll set it and forget it and reset it, and we'll be right back here. Orlando Speedway World, O'Reilly Auto Parts Top 32. When we come back, more action.
Get out there and have fun. Because you've got Meguiar's. And we've got your back. From wash, to paint care, to maintenance and more, Meguiar's has your hybrid ceramic solution for every adventure. Meguiar's, reflect your passion.
Link ECU, let's get it!
We got the spiciest K-Series built.
Supercharged Ford Eliminator engine.
Oh, good old SR20. Blink Monsoon is so rowdy.
Naturally aspirated, 1,000 horsepower, LS-based engine. And then we're going to add nitrous on top of it.
Running an S54 controlled by Link ECU. Link direct injection EcoBoost Fox body.
I actually put an F824 in it.
B58, E46, Link ECU.
No matter what engine you have, it's a stock K24 or it's a 1,000-wheel 2J. Link ECU all day.
Who the hell can stop me? Go!
There's no better way to test your tires than on the racetrack. That's why at Kenda Tires, we compete with the same tires we sell. And that's how the technology built into every Vesda UHP Max Plus tire goes from podium to pavement. Whether you're a professional driver chasing podiums or a grassroots enthusiast looking for weekend excitement, Kenda tires are designed for your journey.
Hey guys, Tim Lehmer here, and today I'm here to give you my BC Racing inner clip tip. For this inner clip, when you're in lead, you really want to be in the middle of the square, because if you're too much inside, the judge are going to deduct some point. So it's important to stay a little bit wide, so the chase driver is going to have more space to give you a proper chase. So for me, I'm really trying to aim just in the middle of the square, and if you're set up right in this inner clip, you're gonna be just fine for the last bank, which is the outside zone 2. So this one is gonna be important. And once you're in the chase, you always want to do a perfect timing transition. Otherwise, you're always gonna eat this clip, which is not good. So you don't want to be too much inside. But if the lead driver gives you a nice line to chase, to follow, you're gonna be just right at the edge of the inner clip. So that will be the ideal case, but most of the time the driver is a little bit too much inside, so you always have to center punch this clip. So hopefully it's not going to be the case today. And this has been your BC Racing clip tip.
Wow, Tommy Lemaire giving it, and with that little qu'est-ce que c'est français accent, it sounds so eloquent.
I know, it's so good.
Yeah, qu'est-ce que c'est Tommy Lemaire. All right, so Saint-Beauvoir, Quebec, going against Adam LZ. What, do you like that? I dropped out of French in high school.
Same.
Here we go. Adam LZ, arguably one of the most popular drivers in the Formula Drift field, and that Drift HQ BMW TLO. He put down some heater by-runs last night, but when push comes to shove, can he put down a competition run? Oh, Adam LZ exceeds that line on that outside zone. Oh, he is dabbling all over the track right now. The car seems pretty loose, but then dials it in with that BC Racing suspension now. You barely see it through the smoke. He had that great second outside zone, but want to run it back. Jacob looked like on the outside zone, kept it out a little too long and then brought it down.
Yeah, just didn't time it perfectly. Now, Tommy Lemaire a little bit lower on the bank. Adam does a really good job up top and just holds on that much too long. Has
like
to
a
scrub
Seattle
out.
Scenario.
Yeah, and then here, again, it's like a lot of our tracks. You make a small mistake in one spot, it will affect the rest of the run. Thankfully, though, Adam able to clean things up by the second inside clip. Second outside zone looks good, but going long on outside zone 1, as you're going to see right here, that then messed things up for the rest of the clip. So big thing is to look for wheels off. Nope, I think there was only 2 inside clip and then just 2 there. But he did go wide on the second inside clip, picked up a bit of speed, and then Tommy Lemaire in the chase does a really good job. So yeah, it's weird to see because Adam does drive here more often than anybody else does. So I don't think we've changed enough or anything different that maybe, you know, like, oh, we moved this out 2 feet or moved it in 2 feet.
It's not that foreign.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and again, track setup here with just the changing conditions. It is dry. We, again, knock on wood as far as rain. But again, Tommy Lemaire, he's had some. Oh boy, initiates, falls down, works his way back up, and that is hard to follow. So to Adam LZ's credit, you saw him work it down up the net vodka on the roof. Excuse me. Now coming into that second inside clip, into that second outside zone, Tommy Lemaire, he does exceed it just actually about a tire distance.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm going to default to the resounding message of round 1. Have a good lead run. If you have a good lead run, the chase car has that opportunity to either flounder or flourish. And in this case, Tommy just on outside zone 1 and outside zone 2 needs to just get a little more refined.
Yeah, too much angle is really what it was. So he essentially missed the first part of the first outside zone. And then, I mean, Adam's doing what he can to try and get into the chase and do a good job through that section. Inside clips weren't too bad. And then Tommy again to the second outside zone starts to push a bit wide. One tire basically out of that zone for the majority of it. And Adam does a good job in the chase there. So both drivers make mistakes. Adam making the mistake coming out of that zone, first outside zone. Tommy making the mistake going into the first outside zone. So looks like we're going to be pulling up a side-by-side here so you can really understand kind of where those mistakes lie, where the issues end up coming, and then how that's going to end up affecting everybody when it comes to the final results. So let's take a look. BC Racing custom coilover side-by-side. So Tommy just too much angle. Adam does a really good job through the majority of this first outside zone. But yeah, Tommy doesn't get into it until halfway through. Then Adam blows wide on that section. Inside clip's fairly similar. Second outside zone though, it does look like Tommy's deeper, but actually exceeds it. But Adam's pretty close to the edge. Both drivers having mistakes. I think Adam had more smaller mistakes, and Tommy had 2 bigger mistakes that went for the majority of his own. So
yeah, I concur with that. The judges are analyzing. We'll get some words from Reese Marin. He is the judge review mouthpiece. You know, they all converse, but we're going to converse with Reese in regards to the outcome. They're still over here elaborating over our shoulder. But let's take a look. 1 and a 2, and Adam LZ. Oh, one more time there. One more time from Reese Marin, twisting the screws. But Adam LZ, majority rules. So Robin Nishida and Brian Eggert, and I can see Reese because he sided with one more time, so he's gathering the knowledge and the perspective of the other judges because he said one more time. I'd like to see him go again.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, once again, I can see both sides of it where the judges might go, okay, Adam did have more mistakes. If you add those up, then
Adam had more mistakes?
Smaller mistakes.
But cumulative.
But more of them, right?
Okay.
He's got a small mistake coming out of outside zone 1. He had a mistake inside clip 1, inside 2, and then a little bit of a mistake on outside zone 3 or outside zone 2.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Reese, what are your thoughts? Again, you said one more time, but the other judges sided with Adam.
Yeah, so what they explained to me is that the judges did see that Adam made some errors, especially coming off of outside zone 1. He dropped 2 tires off. So we're going to see here in the replay. Now we do note that they also note that TLO was longer outside of the zone and outside zone 1. I see Adam that drops 2 tires off here. We go to the inner clip, they get into the inner clip, transition. We also see 2 drops from Adam in the front as well. Now the issue is we do see errors on both accounts. The judges viewed that Tommy Lemire's errors were longer outside of the zone compared to Adam that was there. Although he went 2 off, he came right back into it again. He went back onto track again. So they decided to go with Adam. I decided to go with one more time, looking at both of the errors from both drivers, sufficient enough for there to be another go at it.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from, but I side with obviously Brian and Robbie because of and again, like you said,
wow,
you see both sides of it. I just, what's that?
Wow.
Whatever. We'll agree to disagree, but I'll still have Taco Bell with you later. Okay.
All right, thanks. All right. I appreciate it.
Well, we'll get to that, or, I agree with that. Let's leave it at that. Castro and Ryan Literal, and supposedly if I mention the Castro battle, whatever time, I get a neft shot. So but the Castro-James Dean battle, roll the tape, lookatformlady.com. Here we go. Jonathan Castro, Ryan Literal. Always a good time. Here we go. Castro puts it in. Ryan Literal, you see him. Good proximity, really good proximity from that RB Army flag, the Sunoco. Great looking car, 909. Transitions into that power alley. Castro does escape that second inside clip. A big correction there from Ryan Literal. Comes unwound. Castro keeps it in that second outside zone. So again, a little missing there by Castro in the lead, but that was a really big correction, unfortunately, by Ryan Literal in the chase. He had good proximity on that outside zone. Need to work it a little higher. Let's take a look at the truth serum, the overhead camera.
Yeah, everything looked fairly dialed there. Now Ryan Literal gets that proximity, pulls a little bit of angle, and then gets the line back. It looks really good through that second half of the first outside zone. Through this transition, everything looks pretty dialed. Goes a little bit wide from Castro, gets back on the throttle. Into the second outside zone, though, yeah, something happens with Literal where the car just maybe shuts down for a moment and then gets back on throttle. So with the rule changes that we've seen over the last 2 years, that's not necessarily an incomplete at that point. It is kind of a reinitiation, but it's just a big deduct. It's not like that's completely washed out, so there's still a chance here.
Here we go, Ryan Literal out front. You can hear him firing on all cylinders. Into that, so this looks very similar to what we saw, but Literal dragging bumper, shedding a skin into that power alley, and this is where that smoke signal gets tough. Looks like Castro aggressive on the line. on that second inside clip, big angle, almost like just shifting literally positions and kind of those flaws.
Gone.
But wow, Ryan Literal, he says, all right, you know, I got to rise. And he did. I mean, he lit that flame. Matt Field, so Matt Field took that hit on that back left side. Here's his team thrashing on it. He does get a 10-minute, you know, basically a timeout because he wasn't at fault, and he does have an additional 5 that he can call.
All right, so getting back into this battle, Ryan Literal, I mean, he is on one here. The amount of speed he's getting out of the car, even gets that rear bumper taken off for a bit of weight savings, and then flicks back through these clips. I mean, considering what Literal looked like in seating last night, this is a completely different driver, completely different car. Solid lead run, though. Jeez. Which, you know, just frustrating because he had whatever that issue was when he was in the chase. Yeah, I mean, you know, splitting hairs could have been slightly deeper through that first section, but then actually goes even deeper through the second part of that first outside zone, but the clips look good. Castro, yeah, I mean, just kind of along to watch this. Really far on the inside there. I wouldn't say have as much of a correction as we saw from Ryan Literal, but sounds like we're going to need a side-by-side on this to really get down to business and understand what all is going on, because that was a wild one.
Reese, your hair looks great. You're looking good. You're looking good.
I try. Thank you.
The Colombian cowboy over here. Appreciate it. Looking rock solid. And this is
a tough one.
It is a tough one. There were some great moments of driving on both Castro and Ryan Literal. I think the mistakes where they made, which one is of greater magnitude, and the accumulation, like you said, just going off of that previous battle of Adam LZ and Tommy Lemaire, you know, there was very comparable.
There was a pretty solid mistake there from Ryan Literal, obviously in the chase, but does that supersede how phenomenal the lead run was? Mm-hmm. And that's where the judges really start to dive into this, and this is where the side-by-side comes into play, because Castro's chase wasn't nearly as good. It didn't have one big mistake, but it was lower. So both drivers in the chase pretty comparable, although Literal's got a bit more proximity. And then the lead run, I mean, we know what Literal's looks like. Castro's was solid, but goes pretty wide there on that inside clip. And then as we come through this zone, that's where we see Ryan Literal have the large mistake. But Castro not driving with a lot of angle, not driving with a lot of proximity, but has a decent line. So tough one, really, really tough one. And I can see it on the judges' faces, like this is not an easy thing to try and come to a conclusion on. So they're going to have to kind of sum everything up and understand cohesively how this all looks.
Yep, here we go, Castro or Literal, and there it is, Castro. So Jonathan Castro gets the victory. He moves on, so I have to gather that mistake by Ryan Literal, just a big mistake there in that chase position. And here we go, Matt Field down in the pits. Lorette, I know you got Matt here. What's the temperature down there? Not literally, but Matt Field.
Well, Matt has left his team to do the business and get everything organized. What has the team been working on?
It bent the upper control arm, which is quite a big deal on a Corvette. There's a lot of bolts, a lot of hardware. That's it sitting on the ground, tacoed. Fortunately, Part Shop Max builds an amazing piece of suspension, and the wheel stayed on the car and didn't do any further damage. But now it's time for me to climb in my car like a NASCAR driver, go win this battle.
There we go. The clock is still running, and I'm checking out what time it is, but Matt needs to fire it up. Of course, he can call the 5, which he's not going to do. Clock is running down. Car is firing up. Sounds like we're ready to go. There's still 33 seconds left. He's all set.
Awesome. Well done, Matt Field and his team. And thank you, Lorette. Some great insight. Make some noise for Matt Field and his team. 10-minute allotment, fixing that back left control arm, like he said, tacoed. And Scarps is in the building, cheering him on. Oh, boy. I know he went to the happiest place on earth. So, again, the happiest place right now is Matt Field in his pit. Navigates past that Rockstar energy drink pit where you can pick up a complimentary Rockstar. It's not free, it's compliments of Rockstar. You got to go ask nicely and you'll get one. Like we're cranking a little Rockstar Pure Zero Silver Ice.
Silver Ice, fantastic.
That was your nickname in college, right? Silver Ice.
Yeah, I don't know how you knew that.
Hey, you know what? you call yourself the Nardwuar of drifting. I beg to differ.
I don't think I've ever called myself.
You
want to call me that?
I did not.
Dude.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna bring up some deep cuts here. So, all right, here we go, Mr. Cool. We're gonna get that big fan right now, Jonathan Hurst, Mr. Cool, in that Cadillac, and Ken Gucci, the OG, that Gretty Toyota GR86, high on the bank. And look at Jonathan Hurst, works his way up top, cash money on the tail lights, cash money in the hand. Past that inside clip, through that power alley. Good job by Gucci, good angle. Hurst does knock it over, loses some ground. I'll tell you what, Gucci is possessed. Look at that lock, dialed, minimal corrections, if any at all. The black wheels, but he does have, you can see that bright neon spoke there. That's a good indicator. And again, you saw that tire tread just pushing all the way through. Well done by the Goosh is loose.
Yeah, Gucci, I mean, really showing his veteran status and his expertise here. Looks really good and solid in his first outside zone. Not a lot of corrections. Could have been deeper, but he's not wavering the car around. Like, the transition, though, from Hurst was almost too good. He got in really close, but didn't time it perfectly, and it had him fall back a little bit. But same thing, both drivers making some small mistakes, but not overcorrecting. And I think that's the biggest thing. Hurst, the transition and the initiation, the timing wasn't spot on. And really here, you have to be perfect through these transitions. I mean, there's one transition. You got one shot with this. So if you dive in a little bit too late or a little bit too early, you're going to be on the wrong side of the smoke line. Or in Hurst's case, he just was kind of too late to enter into that zone and then had to make up the ground.
You called it. He was close, and on that transition, it forced him to be even further back because less momentum.
Yeah.
And that is exactly where the momentum zone is. We have branded it that as opposed to decel. So momentum where it shifts. It's not so much about decelling because that kind of scares me when you think about stopping. So here we go. Jonathan Hurst initiates. He works his way up top. Gucci accommodates that and works his way up top alongside Jonathan Hurst. Now coming into that power alley, looks like Gucci gives him some line. So again, different approaches there. Where Hurst was close, Gucci gives him some line and then tries to attack. Doesn't end up paying off, but does keep it consistently through that line. Gucci takes that inside line as he crosses the finish line and didn't look like he was going to rotate or anything. I think he was keeping it safe, keeping it away, because that smoke is definitely accumulating there in that power alley. So two very different schools of thought in that power alley and on those inside clips between Gucci leading and Hurst leading.
Yeah, I mean, Gucci just an OG veteran. I mean, over 140 events of FD under his belt. So he's seen so many different things, and he's on it. He's not being overly aggressive. You understand that there were some mistakes by Hurst. His spotter would have been in his ear. But Hurst, I mean, trying to fight through this, trying to put down a really, really solid run. You see a small bit of wavering, a couple of small corrections there from Hurst, but the biggest thing for him was that initiation, just not getting up to the wall in time. Both drivers kind of struggled with that, so it'll become a, once again, who's making more accumulative mistakes over the period of the run. But I like that Hurst is pushing hard, getting through those inside clips really tight, solid runs through those. For me, Hurst's lead only had the one mistake, which was not getting up to the wall soon enough, just taking a little bit of time to get there. So yeah, it'll be tough, but I'm sure. I mean, this is why the judges make the big bucks, man. They got to lead through this and make the great call.
Some people say you tried so hard, but the end doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Jonathan Castro there, Dominican's finest, still got a great attitude there as Castro does get that victory over Ryan Littoral. And we're going to take a look at side-by-side. Ken Gucci throwing it up, so my eyes can see. West side.
So let's see, I mean, when we're talking about it, so, I mean, yeah, Ken gets into the first outside zone a little bit sooner. The chases look pretty comparable through this section of the run. Now, in this part, in the chase, that's where Cash makes a bit of a mistake, and we don't see it really from Gucci. And then the leads to the second outside zone are pretty comparable, but Hurst ends up getting a bit more proximity, I would say, a better line and angle. So really, really tough call on this one. Once again, I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing. This is why I'm happy that I'm not a judge.
Well, this is where we need to keep it vanilla.
Yeah.
Right? We're kind of factually observing, and that doesn't sway, obviously, the judges. And I have the needle going one way or the other.
Okay,
I
that's
do.
fair.
I
Okay.
do, but I keep it to myself, and there it is. And that's oh, look at that. So 2-1.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be advantage, but I was leaning towards Gucci. So as things heating up here on the track, it heats up down in the pits, and I love the bandana on the head, Lorette. I know the humidity, but look at Jonathan likes it too. Great smile, good attitude.
I think the jury is out, and you know, as you said earlier, Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know. So it's been a challenge. This track it's hot. There's humidity, and you're finding it to be a little bit of a challenge as well.
Yeah, Alfonso, the track changes a lot. The setup, we have way too much grip or then too loose. We haven't found the fine tuning. We're working really hard on it. We got a data all Ryan, and he was super quick. He did a great lap. That was my worst lead, my worst chase of the weekend. So we feel we got lucky, and we are just working now to get the car to be a little bit better suitable, better mid-range. That's what we're looking for the next battle.
All right, looking for big things in the top 16. That's where we'll see Jonathan Castro next.
Thank you, Lorette. And again, Formula Drifter. Here we go. Back to the second portion of this battle. We got Rad Dan Burkett going against Matt Field. And to reiterate, that wasn't incomplete on Dan Burkett's side of the basically outcome here. So he has a disadvantage here going, but he does have the clean air. We saw some aggressive driving. And how well repaired is Matt Field's vehicle with that back left corner? As he said, Taco, use the 10 minutes. Is it enough? Here we go. Rad Dan Burkett. He barely just taps that outside zone, that last indicator cone. Coming to that second inside clip through that power alley. Here goes Dan Burkett in that second outside zone. Dan Burkett comes into that second outside zone, brings it on through, and then crosses that finish line. Well done by both drivers, but again, that incomplete by Dan Burkett. Is that enough? Bingo, bonga, boonga. There you go.
Yeah, really, for this run, Matt Field just has to put together an active chase. Doesn't want to zero out, doesn't want to incomplete, whatever you want to call it. He just needs to get through the run. Whereas for Rad Dan, he needs to put down such a solid lead that it creates a mistake in the chase. And unfortunately, that is not the way to do it. But Rad Dan pushing really hard, wanting to, knowing he's got that, that weight on his shoulders, he's pushing hard. He's driving as quick as he can, trying to get through all the zones and shake Matt Field, but ultimately makes a bit more of a mistake in the second outside zone. I like how aggressive Rad Dan is driving right now, though. It just, it sucks that it did create that mistake in the chase.
This is a testimonial to talking about pro should not be top 16. It needs to be 32,
right.
100%. I think that, Matt Field gets the win. Let's elaborate on that. Matt Field gets the win. Dan Burkett, too aggressive, and as you talked about it, but pro should always be 32. And again, that was just for the sake of conversation, but what a great year Jonathan Castro, Dominican Finest, has had. Close to getting his first podium in Atlanta. He got 4th place just outside. And he was just so darn close. Is this it? This is historically, again, one of the most amazing battles of Formula Drift history was here. Just electric. It was fun. It was great. It was emotional. But can he duplicate that? Brandon Sorensen, young buck, 21 years old, going against essentially could be his dad, Rudy Hansen, 47 years old. Rudy, we saw him last night in seating brackets. Don't know where his car is at. Don't know where his mental game is at. I expect him to drive aggressively. Brandon is just a real rising star in the Formula Drift paddock, on track. We know what he's capable of. The Sorensen family now, it was the duo, the brother and sister, Amanda driving Pro Spec, and now their younger brother, Cam, 13 years old, right? And he's driving in Pro Spec. He earned his license up in Colorado, so he's driving in Pro Spec, a great addition. All those things combined, I'm expecting Brandon to do Brandon things. Rudy, I want him to rise to the occasion. What we saw last night, I don't think that's going to get it done. I think he really needs to drive the way Rudy has gotten to this point. So here we go. Brandon Sorensen out front, Rudy Hansen in that S chassis chasing him down. Here goes Brandon Sorensen, and Brandon initiates. Rudy back there a bit. You can see him lurking his way up into the shadows in that first outside zone. Pretty textbook from both the drivers. You can see Rudy giving himself some room. Good transition. Was that too early? No, it's not. He worked that really, really well. Thought it was going to maybe be, and Brandon exceeds that. Not one, but it could potentially be 2 tires from Brandon Sorensen. So maybe too aggressive on that second outside zone. The car didn't grip up. Did have good control of it, but just exceeded just a touch, maybe even 2 tires off, which would not be an incomplete better deduction.
Yeah, Brandon Sorensen's got a lot of weight on his shoulders right now. He's 4th overall in the championship. He had one of the most epic battles we've ever seen here last year against Camera. Oh my gosh, I completely gapped on that. But Brandon, making that mistake in the second outside zone, and it was a fairly big mistake. Brandon Sorensen and Connor Shanahan having one of the most epic battles we've ever seen here I mean, in FD history, in my opinion, but it was right here in Orlando last year.
Yeah, Brandon is just he's keeping his hands, no idle hands. Like he's engineering parts. He's doing a lot of things. He's
got a lot on the go.
He's got a lot going on there at the Sorensen camp. Here we go. Rudy Hansen now got the clean air here, and we are getting through this top 32 pretty expeditiously as Rudy now with the clean air. Oh boy! Oh! We got wall. We got contact. And Rudy continues on. Definitely want to see how this pans out. We'll take a look overall, make sure Brandon is okay. Rudy continues on, but want to see what the judges think overall. It seemed like there was a tap, a little this, and it bears repeating and reiterating, setting precedents at round one. That lead car, it's their responsibility to put the ideal run out. So Rudy initiates, boom. Walk us through it, Jake.
Yeah, Brandon was really aggressive on that. It's tough. Brandon was really aggressive on his initiation. He tucked in really tight, timed everything quite well, gets in there. Now, Rudy doesn't look too bad and then gets into the wall, then taps Brandon. Rudy hits the wall a couple of times, able to power out of it. It's very, you would think you want to kind of slow down and get out of the wall, but really adding power to try and shoot yourself off the wall is what you need to do. That's what Brandon wasn't able to do, but Rudy could. So there was contact there. It looked like Rudy was already into the wall, bounced back, hit Brandon. It's a weird scenario, though.
So what I would attribute this to is Rudy was being aggressive, got to the wall. Brandon, he put his car where it needed to be, but he can't go anywhere.
Right.
Because, look, Rudy straightens out. I mean, look at the degree of angle.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, look, he hits, he bounces off the wall, he's straightening. Brandon is where he should be. Could have more angle, but I think he was in line with where Hansen was, right? So wherever that lead car goes, the chase car needs to follow. He can't. If he had more angle, Brandon, that chase, he'd be back there quite a bit because Rudy's lack of angle going into that first outside zone.
Yeah, the job of the chase car is to mirror what's going on in front of you, and that's what we saw. And I mean, Rudy went into the wall independently before anything else, and really, if Brandon wasn't there for him to bounce off of it, would have been significantly worse.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's just over here in the judges. Do we have we assessed fault? Don't have to assess fault. It's just, it is what it is. Contact was made, but are we letting them work on their vehicles? Fault will determine the winner in the second run.
Second run on this. So, yeah, I mean, really, I mean, Reese, you can walk us through this a little bit more if you'd like. And
sure, Reese, for the fans, and elaborate here, Reese, going to you again. But the fault will determine essentially the winner here. Oh. But yeah, please, Reese.
Yeah. Yeah, just when we're going through, we could see that Rudy Hansen gets in outside zone 1, and you could see that he makes contact with the ball. We can see here, we're going to see the initiation come in. Rudy gets on throttle. You can see he gets onto the wall. Then after getting the contact on the wall, you can see Rudy's car swings back, contact with Brandon Sorensen. Sorensen ends up going into the wall. So we're going to end up, you know,
you'll see the outcome.
But yeah, we'll see the outcome of it there.
But fault really determines the winner here because Rudy, you know, if he's at fault, Brandon would get the win. If Brandon was at fault, he caused the accident. It would basically be Rudy's victory here. So overall, some great explanation there. Thank you, Reese, and I believe they've inputted their scores. So great elaboration there. Brandon up there on the wall.
Yeah, and I mean, both, whatever way this goes, both drivers have great teams. They'll be able to get these back together. They've got some time before top 16. So whatever way this ends up going, they'll be able to get these repaired and be able to get back out. I mean, this is tough, but it's minor damage.
Yep, here we go. So slide them left once and twice and 3 times. Brandon Sorensen gets the victory, and that's kind of what we were looking at here. Rudy just too aggressive, bounces off the wall. Brandon can't go anywhere. He was doing exactly what he needed to do. So Brandon Sorensen will fortunately have some time. We're working our way towards the top 16 and working our way through the top 32. As you can see, James Dean, RCP, Matt Field, Adam LZ,
woo, bringing it back.
Castro and Gucci, all Toyota battle. Next up on deck, D. Hughes and Jack Shanahan, all BMW, America versus Ireland. Don't go anywhere. Round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. We call this Scorched. When we come back, there's more fire and more cooking here in Orlando.
Drifting is not just a sport, it's culture, it's in our blood.
Here we go, Andy Haley. Oh, he is riding that tire right on that white line.
Tires are what we live and breathe in Formula D. We couldn't do this without them.
There's a place no map will show you. A secret spot. A high-performance hideout for cars that crave chaos. New brakes? Check. Roll cage? Check. A spoiler so big it doubles as a picnic table? Oh, you bet. Every apex we nailed, every second we shaved, it's all knowledge that goes right back into your ride. Look like fun? It is. You in?
You need parts? We got parts. Need it fast? We got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
GT Radio. Experience ultra high performance.
Love that car, baby.
Formula Drift is brought to you by Air Force, Aim High. Type S, official lighting sponsor of Formula Drift. Lights, camera, power, fun. GT Radio, experience the performance. And Fast Orange, the official hand cleaner of Formula Drift.
Well, lots of fun things going on in the hot pits where the drivers are set. So right here we have Adam LZ's car. Jonathan Castro is right across from him. And as we have Adam come on over, hey, so amazing driving by Adam LZ. And yes, of course, he is a local to this track, but this isn't actually your home track.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I had to call anything my home track, I guess I learned how to drift here in the skid pad, so it's definitely near and dear to my heart. We don't drive the oval as much as you think we would, just because the track is a cheese grater on tires, but it's so fun. It's a simple track. Like, I'm stoked to be here. My family's here, all my local friends. Not like super stoked on my driving, but I'm stoked that I won, so I could do a little bit better next time.
Okay. Is there something in particular that you're not happy with?
I actually felt great in practice, and we made some changes in the car, and I just couldn't leave the bank when I wanted to. So, like, that was a real risky move, and that could have cost us the win. But we were fortunate enough that Tommy made some slightly larger mistakes. So it worked out for us in the end, but I need to do better.
Adam, thanks so much for your candidacy.
Adam, look at that, just a range of emotions. I'm not, overall, he's feeling the heat wave, looking good with his new aviators, looking solid.
Always wants to do better.
Yeah.
Always wants to do better.
Yeah, yep. Well, as we move on to our next battle, will be Jack Shanahan. He took care of business last night, and I think this is a big confidence booster for Shanahan. You know, he went against Brad Dan, but Shanahan came out on top. The car took a hard hit in Atlanta. He admitted, he says, dude, I just brain mooted. Unfortunately, went to the wall, took a hard hit, but he eventually got the win. Federico Sharifo second. But what do you think Jack Shanahan takes from last night into today?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum. Something that I think we might have glossed over is having a good conversation with my buddy Kyle about this. He's like, this is a new build. This is a brand new car. So he's coming over, first time that Jack Shanahan's over here in FD with a brand new car. this is something that RCP had built for him, and yeah, I mean, it's tough to get used to, but gets through seeding, and you know, his grand prize for this is Dylan Hughes in top 32. So BMW on BMW, and we'll see how this ends up playing out. I'm excited to see this because both drivers doing quite well, getting much better, really, you know, dialing in the cars, and yeah, it's should be a good one.
Yep. So what's great here is if Jack Shanahan wins, he's out of the seeding brackets.
Okay.
The cut line is 21 and lower. That is a confident position. Like I said, that confidence booster last night, going into here, you want to be in that top 20 because what that means is you don't have to go to the seeding brackets, fight for your position. Like last night, Connor O'Sullivan, O'Sully as we know him and love him, not making today's main event because there were 12 spots on 13 drivers. Shanahan had to fight for that spot, you know, and just winning that overall. Not only confidence, but if he wins here, that'll secure him into that top 20 spot. Going into E-Town, USA, exhale, doesn't have to fight for a spot on Thursday at round 4 of the Pro Championship.
Yeah, it's huge. It's massive. You can kind of take a load off. You can practice a little bit harder earlier on because, you know, you don't have to battle it out in seeding. So it's a lot of advantages of getting out of the seeding bracket.
Yep. Well, also, he's going against Dylan Hughes. We've seen victory from him before in very wet, probably the most volatile weather conditions we've ever seen here at O-Town. Remember, Sage and I looked at each other like, holy cow, this is gnarly, and that was a few years ago. But the Permatex GT Radial BMW, Dylan the Dozer Hughes going against Jack Shanahan from Ireland. Dylan Hughes sticks it to the wall. Well done by, and look at Shanahan. He's had a lot of turns on this track. The both BMW battle, the All-American Dylan Hughes going against Shanahan, comes into that smoke line. Again, that right-hand drive versus left-hand drive. Dylan Hughes, textbook lead run. Really well done by Dylan the Dozer Hughes. Wow, well done by, again, run it back. Shanahan had a great opportunity to chase down a near-perfect run. Look at that, bang, right on there. That rates at angle.
Oh, it's nuts. I mean, Dylan Hughes just snaps it right into the wall and holds it there. A couple of little left foot breaks, and then Jack Shanahan making that dive there, getting a bit of a touch on the door. Dylan Hughes, a little knock below. And as they come around into the second outside zone, you can see Dylan just locks the car in, and then Jack now has to kind of pick up the pace to get that car in there. Not what I was expecting out of Jack, but definitely what I was expecting out of Dylan.
Okay.
Dylan just nailed it, looked great in practice. Jack still trying to find the comfortability in that new build. New chassis for him, I mean, new engine package, all of it's just very new. So, got to get used to it. It's tough. It's really, really tough.
This track suits Dylan's driving style.
100%.
Just pin it flat out. I mean, he's riding dirt bikes. He's doing land speed. He's doing it all. I mean, it's just all in a fan boat, like hunting gators or something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, dude, Dylan.
Florida's contagious, man. Florida is contagious.
That sounds so sus. but Dylan, I'm talking. He's worldly, man. He's 2 wheels, 4 wheels, fast wheels, slow wheels, sideways, slant ways. I mean, Willy Wonka, dude. Charlie Puckett. All right, well, Jack Shanahan, we'll see as he gets the cleaner. I'm expecting him to put down a heater of a run. He looked a bit frantic in that chase position. This is where the confidence grows for Shanahan, and there it is. Dylan Hughes. Did he expect that? Now coming down into that power alley, Dylan Hughes gives himself some room. Watch him lunge forward because he knows this track. You got to think this is Shanahan. They don't have a lot of banked courses in Ireland or in Drift Masters, and there he goes. Dylan Hughes into that second outside zone and dials it in between Dylan Hughes and Shanahan. That clean air, confidence. He's had a lot of turns on it. Let's see.
Yeah, and Jack Shanahan's a driver that, with emotion, just really finds every little bit of energy he can and confidence. And the first half of that outside zone, not amazing from Jack, but the second looked phenomenal. And these inside clips and that transition, very smooth from Jack Shanahan. Dylan Hughes gets into the pocket at this point and just locks in. He's there. Look at the mirroring, and then just pulls in a little bit closer right at the end. Absolutely nuts from Dylan Hughes. I mean, so confident here. And Jack Shanahan, other than just getting into that zone a little bit late, looked really, really good out front. I mean, a lot of the drivers coming out of Europe, they favor tracks with a lot of transitions. They're really good at diving in, diving out through these different transitions. This is not a track with a lot of that. It's a lot more of like holding it into a zone for a long period of time. So a little bit tougher. We did talk about the right-hand drive being a big factor here as well, because through the first outside zone, you're on the outside. It can be tough to get into the wall and know where the back end of that car is, but through the rest of it, you know, you're on the leading edge at that point, so it becomes a bit easier to know where the zone is and know where the clips are.
Really good driving by both drivers. This is just one of those battles where it's unfortunate it's in 32 because two very talented drivers. Here we are, BC Racing go for gold. BC Racing official suspension of Formula Drift.
Yeah.
Side by side.
I mean, Jack's got more proximity through the first outside zone. Inside clips, looking pretty good in the lead on both of them. Jack got a little bit too deep in the chase. And then second outside zone, Dylan's got this nailed in the chase, although I would give a slight edge to Jack's lead in the second outside zone. Dylan went a little bit deeper, might have dropped the wheel out, but I think Jack kind of had it locked in. So same thing, very tough. Both drivers doing a great job, just a couple of small notes here and there to make them perfect. And that's it. I mean, any of these critiques that we're putting in here, it's just a critique off of perfect. These are exceptional runs.
Well said, a critique off of perfect.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting when I talk to Reese as he speaks on the the perspective of the judges. He's like, well, these mistakes, and it's not saying they're not the other driver was perfect. It's just you start with 100 points, which we got rid of the number denominations, but basically because the seating brackets, and there it is. Dylan Hughes gets the win unanimously, and I agree with that. I think just collectively. As you say, you shoot for perfect. To hear our critiques off of that perfect. Dylan Hughes, great job. Congratulations, Dylan Hughes. Jack Shanahan, hold your head high. I can't wait to see you in E-Town. Let's throw it down to Lorette before we go to our first battle, our next battle.
Brandon just jumped out of his car, and Brandon, do you know the extent of the damage to your car?
From the looks of it right now, it looks to be just a front lower control arm, but lucky for me, I'm the one who designed and made those. So we got a whole stack of them in the trailer. And then for the rear end, it looks like it's just a rear camber arm and obviously like a wheel and I think an axle, but I'm not entirely sure. We have the whole brake to get this thing sorted, and I don't know, it looks like it's probably like 6 or 7 nuts and bolts, and we'll be back in action again.
Brandon, thanks so much. We'll see him in top 16, guys.
Well, fortunately, I designed these little hot rods right here, and absolutely, like I said, he's been busy, so. I mean, they talk about, the drivers not being the mechanics and technicians. So, wow, look at this, 77% winning percentage.
Yeah.
Going against Nick Novak. Novak, I'm expecting him to be very aggressive because, like you said, you know what you get when you're going against a champion. Novak, he's going to try to literally Novak down. Here we go, Frederick Osbo, good angle from him, and that Rockstar Energy Toyota GR Supra coming down, massive angle from him. He talked about, again, those Kenda tires, and he was talking about the advantage. People talk about the rears, but he was talking about the fronts. Look at Novak. Yes, sir. Yeah, Nick Novak. Again, the platform is there, right? Osbo, good lead run, and just put it where it needs to be. That gave Novak the opportunity to either flourish or flounder, and in areas, he really did flourish.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Novak loves bank tracks, winning Irwindale 2023, and you can see why. And then Frederick Osbo out front, we talked about a 76% win rate. Just for some numbers, out of 396 battles, he's won 301 of them.
Yeah.
That is wild numbers. Look at this, though. Like, just, oh my gosh. That chase, though, that is textbook. That is, when you look at...
But award the lead run, too.
Right, agreed. You need to have a phenomenal lead to get a textbook chase. If you actually look in the rule book, the way that Nick Novak was laid out there, that is the diagram.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was absolutely textbook. Well done by Novak. So expect a good lead run from Nick Novak, Frederick Osbo, a robot when it comes to chasing. And like you said, there's all kind of tires battle. Here goes Novak initiating. Osbo has to come out of it. Novak taps that wall, disrupts the car, stays in it. So here goes Osbo now coming into that. Oh, we got a deep beat. That back left of Novak, he stays in it, he shoots off. And there goes Novak. We are dragging wheel, dragging GoPro, and dragging bumper. So Novak, he tapped that wall, he stayed in it, but I think that wall tap DB to the tire, tried to continue on, but doing it for Keith. Shout out to his boy, his best friend. But that was a hard act to follow for Freddie. You saw him initiate, he maybe a little timid, backed off, got back on it. Nick taps the wall, DBs the tire, and unfortunately with Nick, that's going to be all she wrote. Even after a great lead run, Nick takes himself out after being aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Judges reviewing no matter what, exactly.
Yeah, they're gonna take a look at it because I mean there's also that potential that there was some sort of contact before. I don't think so, but hey, things can get missed. But yeah, Nick Novak a little bit late to get up to the wall, and then Frederick just has to try and cut in. Did not expect to see what Nick was going to do, and then in the transition here, I think that's when Nick lost the tire. It hit Freddie, and Freddie able to kind of drive through it, but at that point Nick is well offline. Yeah. Pulls off the track, and I think we lost a drone in that battle as well. So a couple of different casualties, but listen, Nick Novak driving really hard in the lead after putting down just an absolutely incredible chase.
This is why Pro is 32.
Yeah, this is why Pro is 32. Man.
Also, another stat, Freddie has 77% winning percentage. Only higher than that is James Dean with 80%.
Yeah.
So this is why they're currently tied for the lead.
The amount of battles that Frederick Osbo has done in FD is far and away above James Dean. So.
But when James shows up, he either is in a developmental year or he wins a championship. Like it's one or the other, right? It's like you said yesterday, it's like here comes James back, gets the call from Vaughn, getting the boss. He says, hey, I got a car. It's a Mustang. Come drive it. Struggle bus, and then boom, championship.
Well, that's no wonder why we have these two drivers battling it out for the championship right now, right? Talking about two of the greatest of all time. That's why they're battling for the top spot. But yeah, man, getting back to this, Nick Novak. Just sucks that this is the way that things kind of came about because he had such a phenomenal chase.
Yep.
I think that's one that we'll still be talking about for a long time.
that was exciting. Put that in the highlight reel. Nick Novak, hold your head high. Great attitude. So Frederick Osbo, and again, going to Reese, talking about that. Nick and the wall.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nick, Nick had an amazing chase. I don't want to take anything away from him. He was matching angle. He's right in the pocket where he needs to be. Unfortunately, when we have Nick in the lead, we do see Nick in outside zone 1, gets into the wall. We believe that's where the D beat happens, comes off the wall. You see the tire come off here. We're going to see in the replay here in a bit. Transition happens, or sets up, goes for the initiation. A little low, gets into the wall here. We believe at that point, that's where we start seeing him coming off the bank. We start seeing the tire at DB to get that point. We noted it out, and as soon as this transition happened, we saw the wheel kind of pop out. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Osbo takes the win.
Well said. Thank you so much, Reese, Brian, Robbie, all of you. Again, Reese Marin speaking on all the judges' behalf, even when he doesn't err on the side of their decision, because there was a couple times there. So appreciate the insight. Big Drift Energy, Evo Auto Works, Nissan 370Z. Jeff Jones pulling to the line. He is going against a beautiful-looking car. That is Daniel Stuge. Happy belated birthday to him. Saw it on the gram. And high five and a handshake there for Mr. Stuge. Jeff Jones will lead. And Stuge in that M-Spec performance. Yeah, Jeff Jones. Wild child, man. This guy is very aggressive. Stuge, a little more concise.
Yeah.
A little more surgeon style. Can place the car really well. I think he needs to bring that X factor, especially on something like this. Or does he have a tempered approach? He knows he's going against Jeff, who has a bit more aggressive style. Like when you back off a little bit, that's when you make mistakes. And I feel like Jeff needs to go 110%, and they're right to the wall. Good. Look at minimal corrections, if any at all, from those front wheels. Look at that line. No corrections. That was just right on the proper line. That shows the commitment from Jeff Jones out front. And you can see Daniel Stuge, so he does exceed just a touch, a couple treads, and now brings it back in that second outside zone. And Jeff looks like he rotates. Let's see, don't know if there was contact there or just kind of self-inflicted rotating there.
Yeah, judges, just taking a look immediately, like you still need to get over the finish line and more or less care and control of the vehicle. So you do need to get past it and kind of be able to drive away. So interesting turn of events there right at the finish line. What seemed like just a solid run from Jeff Jones may get thrown away in literally the final few feet. So takes a minute there for Jeff to get up to the wall, but Stuge does a good job of kind of tucking into the pocket just a little bit late through that first outside zone. Inside clip 1 looks great from Jeff. Transition phenomenal from both drivers. And as we get into the second outside zone, as Jared said, very, very stable from Jeff Jones, riding that line. And it just looks like Jeff overcooked the tires and kind of spins going across the line. So no need to jump to too many conclusions as of yet, because it's going to come down to this next battle. But really, really interesting way that that battle ended up kind of wrapping out, because, yeah, just a tough one.
All right, so again, that rotation there from Jeff Jones. We'll see how the outcome is. And now Daniel Stuckey initiates. Good angle from him. Jeff Jones tucks in. Daniel Stuckey high. Jeff, you can see him slowly working his way. Then Stuckey, he goes wide. Keeps it out there a little bit. We've seen that from a few drivers there. Jeff Jones takes out that inside clip. Daniel Stuckey exceeds. So just, again, overshooting, undershooting, hanging it out a little too long. So just some things here and there on both sides. But with Jeff Jones, you saw him rotate there.
Yeah, getting your angle set early in these large outside zones is key, because if you're too shallow, you're gonna push it. You're gonna push the car out wide. If you're not shallow, if you're too much angle, that car's gonna kind of shoot in. So you see there from Stuckey right off the bat, not having that correct angle and making that mistake, and then as he comes into the second outside zone, a little bit shallow, and that starts to push him out wide. No major corrections there, and then Jeff Jones starting to fall back through the rest of that zone. So both drivers, I mean, on that second run, not confidence in the way that the car is handling. Neither one of them seems to really have it set and locked in as we get our decision here. Yeah,
and even the little corrections that Daniel Stuckey makes, the judges are still conversing over here. Jeff, he crosses the finish line, but not with control of the vehicle.
Right.
So unfortunate turn of events, no pun intended there for Jeff, but Stuckey had those. He's going to need to tighten up, because guess what? He's going against Osbo. So all right, Jeff Jones. Stuckey will go against Osbo. Don't go anywhere. Lorette, down to you.
Hello, Jared. So Dylan Hughes and I down here just talking about the track and talking about how a small mistake can actually turn into a mountain. How do you minimize that?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. We're still trying to figure that out. But this track only being 2 turns is really tricky, because it is easy, kind of like what Osbo said earlier. But any little wobble, any wiggle, any tire off track, or you basically have to nail that initiation, which I didn't really do, and then nail the transition, which I did okay at. Yeah, I mean, it's just about consistency, and then we were watching Jack all day in practice, hit the handbrake every time on the way in, and then that one he sure didn't. So, that's just the game that you play. I just gotta be better. So I gotta tighten up that initiation in that first bank. Then the rest of it felt fantastic. I see some white on my tire right here from pushing them across the finish line, which felt fantastic. But the 2J's, the end of the hood of this car is running absolutely perfect thanks to Road Purple, and we got the Permatex wrap on it, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. I love the blue. I love the simplicity of it. But yeah, we're stoked to be here, and we're really stoked to be in the 16.
Dylan, thank you so much.
You can tell Dylan's fired up, and always just a really good professional young man. He's hyped.
Yeah, he's hyped, and he knows he's got to make some corrections just to battle it through, but he's got good notes, got a great spotter.
Hiro Manoa, the young buck, the youngest ever to Formula Drift podium, and Dmitry Brutsky, speaking of young buck, his son, his spotter in his head. Hiro Manoa dials it in, Ajuga Racing, Jerry Yang, GT Radio 86. Dmitry Brutsky, he does have good proximity. He needs to drop back just a little bit and show that control. Now it comes past that inside clip on the second in the power alley. Look at this. I mean, this is really good. Tempered approach, showing he has the car control. I think it would have just been more dominant if Brutsky just slid probably a quarter of a length of a car back a little bit, because I like that proximity. You said it well. Proximity, mirroring the angle, and then the line.
Yeah, you need to decide how it's going to go. And I mean, what's really interesting is that Manoa and Brutsky actually have very similar driving styles, very similar driving techniques. So when I saw this battle come up, I was like, oh, this is going to be really cool. And you can almost see in this how they both drive the car. Look at Brutsky, so calculated to get the car in there, gets the nose in, adds in the rear. That's really tough to do, and all of this in a car that is built for pro spec, not built for pro.
Great point.
So he's doing this with a couple 100 horsepower less than what most drivers are doing at this level, running a tire that's probably too big for what the car is set up for. That's just everything against this guy, and he's still crushing it.
Never settle.
Never settle.
And you gotta, we're just kind of glancing over, but this dude is on a tear just at 2 years. I mean, he is on a championship level tear, given all his, just his expedience of learning. FD Japan, here he is in FD in the States, and look at Brutsky out front. Like you said, just given all of the downfalls, and he rises. Here goes Hiro Manoa. Brutsky does exceed it just a little bit. He gets on in there. Hiro Manoa applies the pressure. Yes, sir. Well done. I mean, red, white, and drift all over, and smoky all over is Hiro Manoa and Dmitry Brutsky. Very equally matched. Good driving prowess overall. Great battle. No contact, no wall. That was good.
Yeah, just a solid battle. So Manoa kind of got a little shocked there at how fast Brutsky's going to be, and that's where, I mean, kind of the driving position worked out a little bit better for Manoa, where he wasn't bathed in the smoke. Now here, he can really hunt in. Now he's getting absolutely covered in smoke, having to drive by Braille to get through, just touching the side of Brutsky, trying to figure out where he's at, and then pushing him through the rest of that run. So Brutsky, solid job in the lead. A couple of spots you can see he pulls just a hair bit of angle out to gain a bit more speed, shoot off that bank. Transition looks nice and smooth. And then right here, look at Manoa, bathing in smoke, pulls out of the smoke, exact same way that Brutsky did it earlier on. This is what I mean, stylistically, when you got two drivers that drive very similar, it makes for a battle like this. And it was so much fun.
Look at Hiro already. Just, is he doing homework? Because he's in 9th grade.
It could be.
I think he's talking to his teacher right now.
Oh,
and here we go. Slide him left for Hiro, right for Brutsky, and Hiro Manoa gets the win. The young buck takes out, and again, Brutsky, well done.
Yeah.
Really well done. Unfortunately, again, he has his pro spec car, him and his family, taking the caravan trip from the East Coast and just coming down all the way down here to Florida. Brutsky, love you, appreciate you, but Hiro just that little more refinement that Hiroya had. Congratulations to him. Brutsky knocked out. Manoa gets the win. Again, 9th grader, man.
Right?
Yeah, I don't even want to tell you what I was doing in 9th grade. All right, Connor Shanahan, Daigo Saito. Again, just I feel like we're on this like 3rd generation of Formula Drift drivers. You know, we saw, you know, the likes of Reese, Sam, Tanner, Forsberg, Vaughn, you know, Tangelo, all these, you know, Turk even, and then now second wave is you know, obviously you see your Matt Fields, you see other drivers, and now Denofa, Shanahan now part of that next wave. I say FD again. Want to correct myself. Coming to FD in the States, but then you got Hiro, Brandon Sorensen, Amanda Sorensen, and Pro Spec. Love it. And again, I always say it's like skateboarding. You know, you see different generations. Here we are, I think, on 3.0. Connor Shanahan, Daigo Saito, new guard, old guard, regardless, one of them is moving on. Who is moving on to go against Hiro Manoa? Is it going to be another Jerry Yang vehicle? Daigo Saito. Shanahan initiates in that Red Bull vehicle, GT Radio. Both these guys on GT Radio, a lot of GT Radio shrouded vehicles coming down into that first inside clip. Daigo Saito does have a minimal correction there. Bathing in smoke into that last and second outside zone. Connor Shanahan and Daigo Saito tucks in and brings it across the finish line. So smoke bathing ape with the camo livery, and there we are looking at Ryan Turk's cockpit. Ryan Turk looks like he'll be second to last battle.
Yeah, and we talked about some of the historical stuff before. If you didn't know, I mean, Daigo Saito, former champion, but also has a 77% win rate, so up there with the best of the best. Daigo Saito coming in back now into FD after being gone for a few years and just really pushing things. And Connor Shanahan looking solid out there. I know there was some conversation about him having a few mechanical issues earlier on, but I'm not seeing it. And Daigo Saito, just other than the transition to that midsection, looking really good, really pushing the pace on Connor Shanahan. Connor's not one that you really end up pushing around, although he is taking some sweet time getting back to the line.
Yeah, you wonder if the car is not 100% or if maybe the temps are high.
It could be the temps
a little bit of time, dragging his feet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just making sure the car is as cooled down as possible. Seen it a few times from Connor, and I think that might be the case here.
Talking some of the numbers here, you know, Daigo Saito on the line, you know, his winning percentage coming back 20%, but historically is insane. Take 25 out, really high. Daigo's the other legend that's trying to get out of seeding. So again, FD Japan, FD Asia. I mean, Daigo is one of the best in the biz. Just needs to find that sweet spot. Again, that formula, not Formula Drift, or is it? Here we go into that first inside clip, the power alley. Here goes Daigo Saito. Again, it took a hard hit. Him and his team said the car is back up and running, should be dialed. And yeah, if there were any issues, definitely not apparent here. And Shanahan banging doors with the ledge. That is Daigo Saito. So Shanahan in that chase position. Let's take a look at it again.
Daigo Saito on power really early, using all throttle at initiation, which means he can just get right on it. He's on the throttle as soon as he leaves. That way, he's got all the momentum he needs. There's no e-brake there. Just keeping that momentum all the way through, does a really good job. And we see a bit of a mistake there from Connor Shanahan through that power rally outside of the inside clip 2. And then right at the end, Connor, it's that little exclamation mark, that little, you know, make sure the judges know what's up, finish strong with Connor just tapping the door. Daigo Saito just a little bit. The added angle there from Saito. Inside clip looks good. Man, Connor's transitions, some of the best in the world. Just his ability to time it out, gain that proximity, and actually pick up speed before the transition. So as they come across, he's already on the side of the door. We saw him do this in Orlando last year, and he's doing it again now.
What's the Shanahan plan for Shanahan? Is he going to go Shanahan? We will see. And considering, as you say, you always talk about the Shanahans and their European style, and I would say he's very predictive on timing that. Also take into consideration the first year, freshman season for that vehicle and Shanahan working together.
Yeah, just, you know, this is the same chassis setup that he's got over in Europe. It's the one he's the most comfortable in, and you can really see it here, how confident he drives. So, man, there's a couple of mistakes that I'm seeing. Most of it's through that midsection of the run, through the inside clips. But outside of that, both drivers in the chase, phenomenal. Just dooring the other driver. But yeah, really, it kind of comes down to Daigo having a bit of a straight in between 1 and 2, and Connor kind of coming off the bank, a few corrections there. So I have a feeling I know which way I'm going to be leaning on this one, but I'm not always right on where the judges are.
They see things to a degree that, you know, not the average consumer or fan would even see, and taking all the factors in. You have to remove the emotion out of it. And there's degrees of relationship that, you know, that's what I love about it, is you can have two identical cars set up. But obviously you have your parameters, and they will drive them completely different. So you take all those emotions, high fives, things. I mean, there's disdain, there's glory, there's all that, but Shanahan gets the win. Oh, look at that again. So once again, here is Reese. You know, he's got the COL, hence for the Colombian. He lives in Philly, but he's Colombian descent. And he goes one more time, but Shanahan gets the win. Was that the way you were leaning?
I was going towards Shanahan, but I can completely understand the one more time with some of those. But I think Reese will probably give us a bit better of a perspective on that.
Yeah, I just spoke with the other judges, and they told me that from their perspective, when they saw Daigo going through the middle section, they saw that Daigo looked like he almost straightened up in that, and that was enough for them to give it to Connor. When I was looking at it, I felt like there was just enough in there for it to justify another one more time. Now we can see here they're going through outside zone 1. We're going to come into the middle section, and in the chase, we can see that there was a straightened right around there, and that's what they were looking at. And to them, that was insufficient enough of a mistake or an error in order to give the win to Connor. I looked at it where I think there was just enough in order to justify one more time, so we had 2 for Connor and 1 for one more time.
Thank you, Reese. As we advance on, the Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. Speaking of Rockstar, Lorette is with the 3-time champion. He's got Daniel Stuckey. What's going through his mind?
Well, I have Frederick Osbo, who I wanted to talk to him about the tire. He didn't actually see it. You felt something, and then you were told what happened?
Yeah, so Nick's tire came off his wheel and went basically in just behind the front right and out the back. I spat it out the back. I didn't even see it. And the boys took a look now, and nothing is mangled, no lines are ruptured, nothing like that. And luckily I didn't see it. I probably would have freaked out, but I just felt something. I was like, that's weird. What was that? And turned out to be Nick's huge 305 Kenda.
And to your point, you also said it's funny about what some people kind of freak out about and what you feel is important or not important.
Yeah, you know, over the years doing this stuff, you get kind of jaded because we're throwing these 1,200 horsepower cars around, playing with them, burning through tires and all this crazy stuff. And when a tire runs under the car, you're like, you know, it's another day at the office. And then on the flip side of that, you're obsessing over these tiny little details, setup-wise and little things driving-wise. That when you get those right, that's when you get the butterflies in your stomach. It's weird how it happens after doing something for a long time.
you know, obviously you've been drifting for a long time, and we have our judges here that want this sport to be as fair as possible. They're analyzing all the data, and so there's been some judging criteria changes, and we'll have judges come over on the live stream and discuss their calls. What have you been learning about what the judges are looking for this year, especially when battles are so close?
So one major thing they're doing this year, especially since Atlanta, is pushing the lead cars out wider. So the boxes on the ground at the inner clips are there for the lead car to be slightly off the inner clip to give room for the chase car. And I think that was important in Atlanta. I think it's going to be very important here. This is a particular track you'd get lost in the smoke easily. So I think they're doing a lot of great things, trying to progress it. You know, the judges are absolutely looking for the most fair show. It's just that they have the hardest job in the building. So all the tools they can get to make the job easier, I'm all for it.
Yeah. And how many one more times did you have in Atlanta with James?
Oh, that's right. 2 one more times. It was a lot of fun. I know that battle, and those battles have been discussed up and down. I know a lot of people were on our side through all of that, and I appreciate that. Thank you. But James and I, we wrapped after, and we know that sometimes the ball goes that way, sometimes it goes that way, and the only thing you can do as a competitor is really critique your own runs and figure out what you can do better. And then if you get too caught up in a judge's call, you're not going to last long in this sport.
Thank you so much for your insight, Freddie. Really appreciate it. Jared, Jacob?
Yeah, Freddie's in a good mental space right now. Thank you, Laurent. I appreciate that. Yeah, at the top there I said Freddie is going to go and Daniel Stuckey in the next battle. We are 3/4 completed with our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. Thanks for joining us. You can see the battles that are forging for, again, our top 16. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back here to Orlando Speed World. Next on deck, Odie Bakshis and Andrew Haley.
One more time! They are going at it again!
Agreed.
James is darn good. He has a really, really good initiation. We had some strong points as well. So now the goal is to clean up some of it and go at it again.
In the rain, who will reign supreme? Live around the world. Here we go. The one more time battle. Frederick Osmo, James Dean. Are we going to get a victor?
There's so much pressure. You know, the margins are this big, and you might go all the way or you might lose out or crash out immediately. Because we're there as gladiators, risking everything. And that sort of pressure I love and hate.
Let's set it!
In motorsports, you're only as much worth as your last win, really. So why not just enjoy it and go drive your ass off?
This could be it.
Now they both know they got to be perfect.
Sure, there's a lot of great drivers out there, but we're pretty darn good too when we get it right. And I think if we can stay out of our own heads and go out there and stay hungry and keep pushing, we really don't have anything to lose.
Frederick Osmo applying the pressure consistently, not having it dart in. He keeps the same measured approach, brings it around that last, and look at that transition, just narrowly escaped. That was really, really good.
Everybody's pumped. Everybody is stoked on this crazy, crazy battle.
And we got a winner. Bring him on down.
The plot thickens, and we are finding out that it was a split decision. They are going one more time. That has never happened before.
No,
I mean,
no.
as far as, the question is now, what is the variable that will get them the victory? So here we are with a second one more time between these two giants of the sport.
No matter what happens, there will be a winner, but make no mistake, we're not here fighting for second place finishes.
Here we go. Another one more time battle. Frederick Osmo, James Dean, don't leave in the judges' hands. Bring the X Factor, bring the noise, bring the victory. Which side of it? The Rooster Tail off the back of the Supra and the Ford Mustang into that inside clip. Bringing a little wide there as Frederick Osmo now back up the hill. Snappy transition. The X Factor is what they're looking for. Into that second outside zone. Now bring it into the third outside zone.
Every single lap in the lead and in the chase, like Frederick was pushing the limits on entry. Then I was trying to return the favor, and it was just like bumper cars for a lot of those runs.
Both drivers, a couple of small mistakes here.
sure, we're all big egos here. We all want to win. But I think all of us here can also enjoy watching someone else win when it's deserved.
Will we have a victor? Here we go. Send it for the last time. Coming past that inside clip for the second one more time. The third battle between these two guys. Frederick Osmo got the win in Long Beach. He got the win here last year. James Dean, the defending champion.
Honestly, I had no idea which way any of those 3 battles were going to go. In the last one, I tried to clean it up as best as I could.
Frederick Osmo hunts him down like a big game mantelpiece. Let's see if we're going to have a Mustang or a Supra hanging on the wall.
So close. How much more perfect do you need to be?
Make some noise for our gladiators here on Road Atlanta. And finally, your winner is James the Machine Dean gets the win. Frederick Osmo gets second and Odie Bakshis in third.
So here we are, second place, and we're off to a great start, and the goal is clear, 2025 champion.
Your winner here of round 2, the defending champion, James the Machine Dean.
Frederick, amazing driving, man. It's unbelievable every single time we battle. It's crazy. And yeah, see you in Orlando.
Formula Drift is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. GT Radial. Experience the performance. Rockstar Energy, the official energy drink of Formula Drift. Kumho Tire.
Well, there it is, taking a look back at Atlanta. And I know fans from across the globe are watching, from Southern California. My boy Young Bowski watching a massaging chair, dude. I mean, you know,
can we get a set?
Yeah, dude, can we get a massaging chair? It'd be great for us to have a little massaging chair while we're announcing. Jared Deanda, Jacob Gettins, Lorette Nickel down in the pits. Thank you so much. Thank you to our judges, just to our right, Reese Marin, Brian Eggert, and Robin Sheehan. Thank you for tuning in. Round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. We have 5 rounds left after this. We've had a beautiful day up until this point, so I would say at this current juncture, we've had great weather, some great driving, really tight, tolerant battles, but just those little moments. And again, these judges have not sided and totally in agreement. Majority rules. We had 2-1 multiple times already up until this point. So that, I think, is a good indicator of just the tolerances and the nuances. And I liked what you said. Just small little increments off of perfect.
Yeah, especially with this track, like, because we only have a couple of points to actually judge on, it's a little bit easier to kind of dock some things here and there because there's not as much really going on. You can really hyper analyze these sections.
I love this. You got clean. It's like before and after. Like the Odie Bakshis and Andy Haley.
Yeah.
Love Andy Haley, the Drift Wizard, as he's known emphatically and lovingly. We'll see what kind of sorcery he's got in his back pocket. Lithuania, now living in Southern California for multiple years. He is the field suspension king overlord. It's his company. He's helped set up a lot of different vehicles. And here are the odds. Take a look at this. The probability, Bakshis versus Haley. Probability, the odds percentage. So $20 on Haley, I mean, you'll never know. We will know. Yeah. We will know shortly. But if you're a betting man, again, you can take a look here, and it looks like, again, percentage-wise, that Odie will get the win. But Andy Haley would love to prove him wrong. Here we go. Odie Bakshis, field suspension, GT Radial S chassis. Andy Haley lacking the angle. You can see him trying to get closer here. Odie, boom, right on it. And now comes down into that power alley. Andy Haley, the wrong side of where he needs to be. The Drift Wizard, Evo AutoWorks BMW shuts it down. Odie Bakshis continues on through the entirety of the course. I mean, textbook. That is a hard act to follow. Odie Bakshis. What went wrong for Andy Haley? What do you think, Jacob?
There was one moment, it was very, very quick, where I saw Odie grab the handbrake just before leaving the first outside zone. And I'm sure we'll see it here. I don't think it would have affected Andy, but it was like the only kind of big correction that I saw there from Odie Bakshis. But Andy just didn't look like he was in the chase in the beginning, to be perfectly honest. Especially with that overhead view, you can really see that Andy was just struggling to get that car going. And it looks like he's going to be heading off track to take a 5-minute regardless because, yeah, just something wasn't right on that car right from the get-go. And Andy having to go put hands on the car, put eyes on the car, and see what's going on.
All right, so like you said, I barely saw that handbrake pull, so good eyes there. But as you said, Robbie said, competition timeout being called. in the Andy Haley camp. Evo AutoWorks, BMW. See the Drift Wizard there on the roof. We've got some great merch. The Conad. A lot of these drivers do. You know, wear the uniform. Wear your favorite driver. Buy the gear. Support the sport. Support the driver. Support the sponsors. Thank you so much for coming out here. You know, Orlando Speed World. It's raw. It's some great fans here. There's a great scene here in Orlando. So thank you to all the fans coming out here. Orlando, make some noise for all the fans across the globe tuning in. Come on now. I said Orlando. Are you some of the best drift fans in the world? Make some noise. All right, stomp your feet if you could. Stomp your feet. See if they can hear you echo. Yeah, there's the Thunderdome. Welcome. I am Master. He is Blaster. And there they are, James Dean and Frederick Osbo, the Driver Championship. And that is current standings because they won their battle. They came in with 90. Each win, 10 points. 90 plus 10 equals 100. I can do that math. So very cool. Look at that. Odie. Currently, again, 50 points. He can move up to 60. Hero jumps up to 40. Matt Field, Bing, you could see it all. Moving, shucking, jiving. Yet to see Chris Forsberg. He's about to do battle here. He is the last battle against Federico Sharifo, RCP. We saw him. What are you looking at?
Daniel Stuckey, because of the seeding brackets, getting those extra points, that's putting him ahead of Dylan Hughes. This is where the 3 points you get for a win in seeding can start to really play a factor in the total ranking. So Ben Hobson's 19. So it's just those extra couple of points in seeding sucks to be down there, but the upside is those extra points you get from that might be the difference. So taking a look again at our airforce.com replay, Odie looks pretty good on that first outside zone, but Andy just shallow angle, maybe low on power, and then just kind of shoots in, and that's it.
There was an incomplete, so contact with an incomplete, the fault does need to be given in order to get hands on the car. So comp timeout.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh,
yeah.
He did make,
that front
contact.
left.
All right.
Yeah, definitely hit the back right of Odie.
Yeah, so I think that's, I don't think Odie's at fault for any of this. He's on the line. He's doing what he needs to do. You can see Andy just not where he needs to be, and then finally gets the car to angle, but on that tighter line, kind of cuts across. And what I really like, though, is that Odie just stays in it, just keeps going, keeps driving. Like, okay, a bit of a contact, but let's play this out and see how everything goes. So, yeah, I mean, oh, man. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Andy. We did see that last night he had a few issues. Car just not performing the way that he wanted to, so it's good to see that he got back out here, but I don't think all those issues are resolved at this time. And now Odie, they're going to get some toe plates on that and take a look, and yeah.
All right, well, Lorette, down to you. You got Odie. I don't know if he wants to talk or not. Lorette.
Well, I just tapped Odie, and I think he's starting up the car, so that is a no. He was given a 10-minute. The clock is still running. So honestly, he only used about a minute of his competition timeout. Kevin, he was given the 10. He did call the 5. What does that actually mean? Did he use his comp timeout?
No, he did not.
Okay.
So basically, I just started the 5 so we can get the ball rolling on everything, because either I'd bill you for the 5 or if it's free 5s. Either way, we got to run a 5. And then they gave him a 10 because it wasn't his fault. So either way, he burned a minute and a half, and he's out anyhow. So we're good.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Lorette. And Lorette, for your information, it was, and for all the fans, Haley was at fault. So to Kevin, who is competition director, Haley was at fault, so he receives an incomplete, and Odie with the contact went into the pit. So going through the formalities, he didn't even need to use a competition timeout. He could just get hands on the car because of Haley forcing that contact and the incomplete at fault. So again, with Odie going to the pit, he could have touched the car with no repercussions.
I think it's just one of those, as soon as you put hands on the car, you start a 5. If he's found that he's not at fault, then they just give an extra 5 on top of that. So, but yeah, Kevin doing the right thing there as we move on to our next set of battles.
Simon Olsen and Ben Hobson. As Olsen and Hobson, yeah, look at this. I mean, Simon Olsen, you know, speaking of Odie, coming off that battle, was with Odie for a couple years, and now back behind the wheel of his Mark V Toyota Supra. Ben Hobson, a Pro Spec champion, so dominant.
Yeah.
Had, again, the Mustang. It is she a bad girl, man. You got to harness that Mustang, and we saw that even with the likes of James Dean. So Hobson on his freshman year behind the wheel of the Mustang, trying to work it out. Seems like it came together. Has had a lot of seat time in between October and April, the silly season of Formula Drift. Hobson really committing himself to the Mustang, to RTR. Pennzoil, great attitude, good formula, just recently engaged. Just a lot of things on the up and up for Ben Hobson. On, off track, Simon Olsen running his own campaign, running his own vehicle, and seems to be working out. Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Learned a lot from Odie. I mean, suspension matters. You're going to pick things up through osmosis.
Simon Olsen leading in that Mark V Toyota Supra, initiates Ben Hobson back there quite a bit. Maybe give himself too much. Look at that left foot brake there from Simon Olsen. That front right coming to a halt. Now coming back into that power alley, transitioning through in that second. See a quick little junt into that second outside zone from Simon. And looks like Ben is just progressively gaining that ground in that chase position. But Simon, want to analyze this. Again, Ben on initiation was back there quite a bit, but you saw him by the end of the run, he was right there on his door.
Yeah, Simon's run was really fast, like really, really quick. Now, he doesn't get into the first outside zone until about halfway through. And as Jared alluded to, just a lot of right foot brake to hold that car back, just really quick. Inside clips look good. Ben able to hang tight there through those transitions and then starts to reel things in. Simon then gets back on the power, but Ben is right there through the whole thing. Great mirroring from Ben Hobson as they come across the line, but Simon through the blocks just really, really fast. And I think trying to be that aggressive, trying to outrun a Mustang is not easy, but he did a pretty good job. The only downside was he wasn't fulfilling that first outside zone completely. So solid run there from Simon Olsen. He's got the pace in the car. He's got the setup in the car. This is the most confident we've seen him driving this car in a very long time.
Yeah, I think it's great to see Simon take all that knowledge, like you said, by osmosis. Great word there. Ben Hobson initiates Pennzoil Mustang RTR Spec 5. Whoa, man! Snaps into it, did not pay off. Now, he did salvage that. That could have easily gone south, literally down the course, but it does grip up. He works it back up. Tried to go for the gangster initiation, and now Ben Hobson, and he goes and overshoots it. Going to that second outside zone, Simon Olsen. He's front row in quite a fireworks show.
Yeah.
So I want to run that back because just out of the gate, Hobson goes for it. Simon gave himself some room there. But what do you guys say, Orlando? Make some noise for him.
Yeah, so Ben Hobson out of the gate using as much of that track as he can and then just over angles the car. And I mean, doesn't get to that outside zone until at least halfway through, but really far off. Simon just trying to figure out the best way to chase it. Tons of angle through the first inside clip from Ben. Second inside clip looks pretty good, but then goes off track there. So I don't know if this becomes a situation where the run is unchaseable. That might be a little bit tough on him for it, but was not a solid lead run from Ben Hobson. And Simon just trying to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out where to place the car because Ben's got a ton of angle, pulls out of that angle to drive straight. Simon just has to figure out how do you get in and chase this run. And then Simon does a good job punching through the smoke here, but then Ben's on such a wonky line, he ends up going at least 2 wheels off, maybe even 3 at that point, and Simon has to kind of cut back in. So, you know, the good lead, good chase thing, this is also the opposite. Not good lead, not good chase.
And we haven't seen that initiation from Ben even in practice, so that was just very foreign to even the judges as well.
Yeah.
So Simon Olsen gets the win unanimously. Ben Hobson knocked out in 32. Very unfortunate for Hobson. You know, Hobson spent the majority of 24 in seeding, right? And then Olsen spent the majority of 24 in top 5. Again, excited to see where Ben Hobson and the formula of him and this Mustang go. Didn't know if that approach was by design, maybe just, you know, risked it for the biscuit, but it ended up gripping up. And Simon Olsen, again, back behind the wheel of this Mark V Supra.
That is an initiation we've seen Mustangs pull off. That car is capable of doing that thing. Adam LZ in New Jersey famously did something very similar to that. We've seen we've seen James Dean do it against Osbo.
Yep.
So it's possible, it just didn't go the way he wanted it to. This is flipping back to the battle we're going to revisit here now.
Second half.
Yes, sorry. The second half of it, which is, Odie Bakshi's and Andy Haitley with that contact of Andy in the chase, kind of cutting that line and making contact with the field suspension S chassis of Odie Bakshi's.
All right, so here we go. So the second half of this battle. Now Andy Haitley was at fault, so similar to what we saw earlier, very early on at 32. Andy Haitley has an uphill battle here. He's at a, basically, you know, he's at a deficit here going against Odie Bakshi. So you can see staggered start, that chicane start, that pairs him up, matches him up. So Andy Haitley, he really needs to put down a good lead run. and try to force an error. Odie Bakshis, he's crossing his fingers and his toes, maybe even braiding his beard, because he needs something to happen here. His sorcery, his wizardry. We'll see if the Drift Wizard can put it down, as looks like we got that back left fender maybe either being torn off or zip ties. Fixing that so it doesn't fly off, because that would definitely be disruptive. You know, the classic, you know, hood, hatch, door, you know, all those things opening, that would affect the chase car if fender flies off and it's in your face.
Yeah.
You know, even announcing, if I just put my hands right like
It's really difficult to do that.
You know, here we go, Andy Haley out front, Evil Autoworks BMW, great attitude, but wants to put down some great angle in front of Odie Bakshis. Andy Haley initiates into the bank. You can see him riding just on the outside and then throws it into that outside zone box. Now dragging bumper into the power alley, drops it down, and there's that back bumper that we were talking about. Looked like that was what he was zip tying there at the start. Matt Sopa now into that second outside zone. I think Andy did a decent job. I think that was you know, 80% of a 100-point run, but Odie Bakshis, I think, did just enough, not too much, and did just enough in order to get this victory after unfortunate contact on that first portion of that battle with Odie leading and Andy chasing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Andy had some redemption there with that lead run, comes back out, puts the car through all the zones correctly, and then Odie just has to make sure that there is an active chase with that incomplete for Andy from the first run.
Yeah, pretty cut and dry, and looks like Andy Haley, unfortunately, will be parking the car for the weekend, but go visit him in the paddock area at this round and future rounds. Again, 5 remaining rounds of our Formula Drift Championship here in 2025. Next stop, E-Town, just a little bit. 2 more battles left over O'Reilly Auto Parts, excuse me, a Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32, and Odie Olsen. Ooh, look at this. So, again,
that'd be interesting.
You know, I don't think there's any bad blood. It was just Odie, you know, he's always kind of, it's you know, being the host of the party, you have to make sure your guests are all good.
Yeah.
If that was, you know, Bogovic when he was doing Pro Spec, if it was Simon Olsen doing Pro, Odie, I think, has really tried to focus on his program. So much so that he's brought in Justin Pollock, a former Formula Drift competitor. He's in his ear. Amy Bakshis, they had 2 spotters. They're talking, so, you know, perspective. Odie Bakshis has the makings to be a champion. Now he's focusing in. And another driver that knows he can do better, Ryan Turk. Ryan Turk will be going against Derek Madison. He's another driver in the Rockstar Energy Drink camp. You can see him there on the left. You know, he's been competing since 2004. Derek Madison making the jump from Pro Spec to Pro last year. Looks like the car's being worked out. Got a great attitude. Here he is, again, that coilover depot S chassis. He's going against Ryan Turk in that hot hatchback, that Toyota GR Corolla, that Rain-X vehicle. The Rockstar Energy Drink driver will lead Derek Madison. D-Mads will be chasing him down. Second to last battle here in a Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. Turk wants to make it rain. Here we go into that first outside zone. Ryan Turk puts it in, very settled, very calm. Derek Madison tucks in about a car length behind into that first inside clip. Turk, great angle. Derek Madison drops back. Looks like Turk went out a little bit, brought it back in, reeled it in, and you can see him again just dancing on that razor's edge. Does exceed a little bit, but not too much. Just dip and a tread of those Kenda tires, and those Kenda, you know, both him and Osbo going with Kenda this season.
Yeah, making that big switch, but they're adapting to it quite well. So Ryan Turk, not the most exciting, crazy, dynamic run, but that's not really what you want to be going for right now. You want it to be, you know, predictable. You want it to be stable, and that's what Ryan Turk put out in that lead there. Does exceed a little bit on the line there. Derek Madison gets caught up a little bit through the inside zones, but does a great job of getting back into the battle once they've cleared that smoke. And Derek is really growing as a driver, did not overreact. And I mean, even a Derek of last year might have freaked out in this situation, but he didn't. He stayed on the line and then just gets the car and starts to push into the pocket a little bit more, doesn't overreact, doesn't straighten the car, and once he gets that proximity, just slides the back end in, makes it look really, really good. I'm stoked to see both of them driving in a very smart way. And that's what you need to do to get through top 32.
It's very comparable to, like we said, with Ben Osborne. Didn't see that initiation, but you know, I don't know if that was the time and the place to do it. So here we go. What's going on here? So Derek Madison, Ryan Turk off the start. And was that a... So taking a look at this, Derek Madison continues on through the course. Was that a restart, or did Ryan Turk have a glitch and he's not 100? You're gonna have to run that back and just confirm. Was that good to go? And Ryan Turk crawling his way through, and Derek Madison could get the victory here. Not seeing any sign of a restart here. Ryan Turk left the line in the chase position and just stranded out there. Pounding the steering wheel, frustration sets in. Oh, man. Derek Madison, one step closer to taking this victory.
Yeah.
Starter saying, what happened?
I would love to know what that conversation is like right now. But
dude, frustration.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
It happens. So Derek Madison out of the gates looks really good. Good speed, getting the car, and Turk never gets it going. Was it a misshift? That's what I'm thinking, misshift. Popped out of gear. Oh, no. So frustrating. And listen, at this track, if that happens, there is no coming back from it. If you do not have that perfect start, there's nothing you could do. Ryan Turk, no point at that point to try and get back into the battle. Just try and collect your thoughts and calm down a little bit, because Turk was on it, but Derek Madison getting a little bit of luck. And we know that here.
Yeah, that is just such an unfortunate turn of events.
Man.
You saw the frustration, pounding the steer wheel. And Derek Madison gets the win, not the way you want to get it, but Mads will take it any way he can. Derek Madison advances on into the top 16. Ryan Turk had a great lead run. Chase pops out of gear and just crawls his way through as we enter our final battle of top 32. Derek Madison stoked. Take it any way you can get it. He's going against one of these gentlemen. Federico Sharifo got second last night in our seeding brackets. Chris Forsberg, you know him, you love him. Again, another veteran since day one, has been competing since 2004. Statistically, Forsberg, again, one of the most winningest drivers. You can see 63%. He's up there. Just the sheer numbers and battles as we can see him warming up the tires on his all-new Nissan Z, the Nismo NOS energy drink. So there it is. Chris Forsberg pulling up to the line. Federico Sharifo chasing him down. Chris the Force Forsberg will lead, and Federico will be chasing him down. Chris Forsberg running the VR, that GTR motor. You can see it just locking into gear. Our final battle of our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. The NOS Energy Drink, Nismo, all new Z, initiates into the bank. Here comes Federico Sharifo. Forsberg slingshots out into that first outside zone. Outside zone. Federico lower on the bank. Chris dials it in on that power alley inside clip 1 and 2, ticking the boxes literally with those front tires. Now coming to that second outside zone, Forsberg rides the line and brings it on home. Here's your chicken, that Kumo tires on there. There we are in the pit, and just leave him alone.
Yeah, that's a frustrated driver for sure, and totally understandable, because he was definitely on it, and just popping out of gear. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's so unfortunate. You gotta feel for him.
Yeah, taking a look back here, Federico Sharifo lighting the tires up early, and just not able to time things correctly in that first outside zone. Chris Forsberg does a great job through the first section and right through these inside clips. Now Federico Sharifo got to make up that ground, but just overshoots that little bit, not able to really get back into the pocket at any point in time after that big mistake in the beginning to try and take on, a multi-time champion that is Chris Forsberg. Taking him down is not going to be easy. We're talking about a driver with a 31% podium rate. Almost 1/3 of all the events he goes into, he podiums. That's wild.
That is a staggering stat, and given the sheer 21+ years of competing. So here we go. Federico Sharifo will lead. Chris Forsberg giving chase. Now here comes Federico in that Pentel Ferrari. He initiates into that outside zone, chasing him down. Again, you got to think with Fetty kind of low on that bank. Chris Forsberg. Again, is he celebrating just yet with some Neth vodka and NOS energy drink? And there he goes, drops into formation in that second outside zone, and Fetty crawls his way through that second outside zone. Forsberg dials it in, and it looks like he was just giving himself enough room, and you know, kind of needle going the way of Forsberg, just giving at first glance, again, where the cars were, just going off of that first outside zone initially.
Yeah, Fede, I mean, solid run out front. I mean, Fede's driving is just getting better and better. We saw a couple of really good runs there last night. And this wasn't too bad from Fede. The inside clips look great as he transitions through, and Forsberg just playing back a little bit. Fede's car not quite as fast as what Chris has got lined up with the new Z. And just right here, you can see it where Fede comes off, throttle's still floating it out, and Chris has to back off just a bit so we can get into the side of that Ferrari. Yeah, I mean, we saw with an Instagram video yesterday just how expensive that Ferrari is with all those parts.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, Chris keeping that in mind when they came through the last part of that
You
zone.
break, you buy.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Chris Forsberg, Federico Sharifo, slide him left unanimously. Chris Forsberg gets the win for our final battle of the 32. So congratulations, and our top 16 has been forged. And just like that, our Rockstar Energy Drink top 32 is been established. The foundation is here. Some upsets, some great driving, pretty clean cut, and the judges were not all in unison. It was, again, majority rules, and they had some split decisions, but overall we did get a winner. Only, what was that, one more time? A couple contacts there, but there it is, O'Reilly Auto Parts top 16, James Dean versus RCP. Field versus LZ, that would be fun. Castro and Gucci, all Toyota battle.
Yeah.
Brandon Sorensen and Dylan Hughes, both BMWs, two different driving styles. Frederick Osbo, you know what he's capable of. Currently, again, tied for the championship versus Daniel Stuckey. Hiro Manoa and Connor Shanahan. Young driver versus a veteran, Odie Bakshis versus Simon Olsen. Once teammates, and then finally Derek Madison, who let's just call it what it is, upset.
Yeah.
Ryan Turk, you know, again, historically, percentage-wise, statistically, is going against Chris the Force Forsberg.
It's going to be a great top 16. Great battles. I mean, amazing tandems that we're going to see here. Both these, I mean, basically all the battles are going to be epic. And, yeah, I want the break to be over so we can come back and see them.
Absolutely. So we'll grab a Rockstar Energy Drink, grab some food, grab a good time. Thank you so much, Jacob. Appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you to Lorette Nichols. Some great insight, getting perspective. It's sweaty, but we are ready. And this is round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. We'll be back here in, just about a couple hours and a half, 7:30. So 2.5 hours, local time, 5:02 on the dot. So rejoin us for the continuation and the top 16 here at round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. I'm Jared Deanda, Jacob Gettins, Lorette Nickel. We're your tour guides, but the action is out on the track. Come back and be ready to eat because it is scorched, literally and figuratively, here at Orlando Speed World. Round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship, 2.5 hours, top 16. Thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm.